Welcome to the Scoop One Order. We have 1,000 messages already. The carnage has begun. Is it Will Howard season? We're going to analyze the Cotton Bowl that was. It was not fun. It was ugly. But guys, I'm telling you, the one thing I want you to take from this is in 2024, we're going to have a really, really good team coming back. So I'm telling you, I know it sucks right now. I know this is like one of those Murphy's Law games where our second string quarterback got knocked out and we had our scout team freshman quarterback in there. So I know everyone's distraught and sad and destroy the program. But guys, we're not that far away. I know it sounds crazy. You call me a homer, call me whatever, but like I'm a realist. I've seen this movie before. This poor kid got thrown in there in a spot that was impossible to play in. And frankly, I think that Ryan Day's going to nab Will Howard. So we get that kid, man, we're going to be a top 3 team. So everybody wants to burn the boats and jump ship. Go ahead and do it, because I'm going to be riding that boat all the way to the championship next year, because I think we've got a really good team coming back. And I think a lot of these guys that were on the fence about leaving are going to come back now. So again, as always, we appreciate you guys kicking it with us. Again, don't call me a sunshine pumper. Call me a realist. Call me, honestly, the smartest guy in the entire league, because I've been a player. I've been a coach. I've seen these situations happen before. This is kind of like, you know, when Florida State had to start Marcus Outzen in the national championship game, and they sucked and they lost to Tennessee, and everyone's like, oh, Florida State. I was like, yeah, they had to start their third string quarterback and they were terrible. But, you know, Linky Keenholz, you have to understand, was our third string quarterback all year. In Ohio State football's vernacular in practice, the top 2 quarterbacks practice with the offense, the third string guy is with the scout team. So he doesn't get a lot of work with the offense. So all of a sudden, you know, Kyle McCord goes to Syracuse. All of a sudden, you know, you gotta move Devin up, and then you have Lincoln as the number 2 guy, and you know he doesn't get reps in blitz pickup. I was screaming at the TV. He had no idea what was coming when those guys went 0 blitz, and Missouri knew that, so they're bringing the house against him. And again, it's really hard. Again, he's an 18-year-old freshman who is playing in Sheboygan or Wyoming or South Dakota, North Dakota, Antarctica, wherever he played at last year. It's not Ohio State. It's not the Cotton Bowl against an SEC school. So again, was this a miserable night? Yes. Is this the end of days for Ohio State football? No. Do I think Ryan Day has Will Howard in the bag? Yes. So you give me Will Howard with Emeka, Carnell, you know, our squad, I feel really good about it. Trey Henderson, feel really good about it. You know, again, you put any team in college football in a major game versus a top 10 team, and then you make them play their third string quarterback, who's an 18-year-old who's never played before, and show me how that works. So again, not making excuses. I love Ohio State football. I think Ryan Day's a great coach. I think we've got a lot of potential for next year. So again, don't call me a sunshine pumper. I've seen this movie before, guys. Again, this was not our night. It sucked. You know, Missouri played well, but they weren't great. But, you know, we were basically both arms tied behind our back and both legs bound and thrown into the deep end of the pool, and we sunk. So it is what it is. But, you know, Ryan knows what he's got in the quarterback room. He's going after Will Howard. I think we're going to get Will Howard. So, again, next year, I think we're going to be nasty. So you guys can all jump off the ship right now. I love that because it's more room for me to stretch my legs out and stretch out on the ship as we cruise next year, because I think next year we're going to be really, really damn good. I got to bring in Nevada. Tonight sucked, and I know everyone's going to call me a sunshine pumper and an idiot and a moron or whatever, and I don't really care. I've lived this. I've lost bowl games before. You know, again, like the Florida game where we got dog walked. I mean, I was there. Ted Ginn broke his leg the first play of the game. You're just like, oh shit, this is going to be one of those nights, you know, one of those deals. Tonight, you know, we're down to our quarterback making his first career start. He hurts his ankle again. It was just like one of those nights, you know, but Trey looked explosive. Our receivers were getting separation. This Lincoln, man. Lincoln's a young kid, and I really disagreed with benching Carson Hinsman. I mean, I know that he had the yips in practice, but Enoch Vamahi really, really was bad tonight. And again, I don't like bagging on the kid. He's a great kid, but he was not good tonight. And it was really hard. It's the second career start, playing an SEC team with some twitched up D tackles. So, you know, I thought our defense played really hard. They gave up 14 points versus a really good SEC school that scored a lot of points versus Georgia and other schools. So, you know, it was all on the offense tonight because we were playing a freshman 18-year-old quarterback. But what were your thoughts on tonight?
My thoughts were that I got my ass kicked gambling tonight and that I drug a lot of you guys along with me, and like I said, my only solace is the people that I consider to be the sharpest guys in Las Vegas, like the absolute sharpest, is the Circus Sportsbook guys. They are the sharpest, and they accumulated a huge position on Ohio State in this game. They were always offering, the best numbers on the other side, trying to get that money on the other side. I mean, they took a huge bath tonight on Ohio State, and as I go back and I kind of I do a regression analysis when I lose a bet this bad, and I just asked myself, what was I seeing, what was I not seeing, what was going on. And for me, it's just, look, I had not figured into the calculus that Devin Brown would go down in the first quarter. And I know people say, oh, he wasn't doing great. Look, we had driven the ball into their territory, got a field goal. He was just starting to he was 4 for 6, just starting to figure it out. And, I just couldn't calculate that. Even when Cardell came in as the third string quarterback, just saying third string quarterback, remember Braxton Miller went down before the season. So, and JT Barrett went down, and, Cardell has a chance to an entire week to prepare for the Big Ten championship game. Now, this situation, you have Kyle McCord leave. So you've got a guy with 22 career attempts, and Devin Brown gets his first start. And that's okay. Look, we can manage through that. We can go through that. But then he goes down, and then you bring in Lincoln, who's got 4 career attempts or whatever it is. And there was just no way we were going to score at that point. And it was just a disaster. And like I said, I feel bad. I feel bad for anybody who tailed me. I feel bad for my kids who are going to have to go to community college now somewhere. And good thing, the United States system now has free community college for all kids and stuff like that, and it's awesome because the little Nevada Bucks are all going to go to community college. And we're going to be community college proud now, and that's okay. We are now men of the people, and but I feel bad. I feel more than anything. I just feel kind of sick to my stomach. I honestly do. I feel sick to my. Watching that was just horrible. It was 3-0, and you just knew at any point if Missouri scored that the game was over. That our only chance was a defensive score. We had that chance on 3rd and 8 when we had them deep in the territory on that first 95-yard drive and couldn't get them off the field, and just horrible. But again, apologies to anybody who tailed me. I was tailing some really smart guys, some guys that are putting some really big money, and we all just got washed out tonight. And no way to sugarcoat it. Just got our butts kicked.
Well, the thing about football is you're an injury away from it all washing, it all going away. Again, if there was a bet in my lifetime that I would have been certain about winning, it was week 5. You guys, a lot of Browns fans, 49ers come to Cleveland. Cleveland starting PJ Walker at quarterback. San Francisco's 5-0, murders everybody, kills everybody. And within the first, 5 minutes of the game, Christian McCaffrey gets knocked out. Trent Williams gets knocked out. Deebo Samuel gets knocked out. So that's Brock Purdy and the AYOs. And they end up losing to PJ Walker. That was they were I don't know if they were like 14-point dogs or that's a huge number in the league in the NFL. And so you lose one guy, especially if it's a quarterback. And again, in the transfer portal era, which I talked about in pre-show with Nevada, when you lose Kyle McCord to Syracuse, and again, I'm not blaming Kyle McCord for tonight, obviously had nothing to do with it. And then you have Devin Brown come in. And then you have to have Lincoln all of a sudden try it. Lincoln doesn't know the offense. I'm sorry, it's apparent, and it's not his fault, but he's been running scout team all year. Again, when I was Lincoln's age as an 18-year-old freshman redshirt guy, I was trying to learn the offense, but I'm also running scout team. When you're on scout team, guys, everything's on a card. So you look at the card and you say, okay, this is what I do. This is who I throw to. This is the pass protection I do. So you're not learning it learning it in a very fluent vernacular. So all of a sudden, when this kid has to go in the game and he's the guy, it's hard. Dude, Missouri was running some pretty basic blitzes, and it was he had no idea what was coming. And again, it's not really his fault. I can't really put it all on coaching because, again, in the transfer portal era, you can't, you don't always count on your starting quarterback leaving. I mean, Ryan Day, when Kyle McCord walked in his office and said, "Hey, coach, I'm out. I'm going to Syracuse." Like, see ya. Like, you can't count on that. So all of a sudden, man, and then you can't count on Devin Brown like spraining his ankle. Again, this was a worst case scenario. Again, like when we played the Alamo Bowl in 04 back in the olden days, Troy Smith gets suspended. Justin Zwick gets elevated to be the quarterback. And, if Justin gets hurt, man, Ted Ginn was about to be our quarterback because Todd Beckman was redshirting. We didn't want to bring that redshirt. So it's like, if Zwick gets hurt, and it's funny because he pulled his hamstring throwing a hitch to Teddy, actually, and he was out there limping around. And if he couldn't play, then Teddy was going to be our quarterback for the whole game. So that's like the worst case scenario. And that happened today. And like, it killed me because our defense played so hard. Our defense was really good. They give up this 290. They give up 14 points versus an SEC school. Like, you have to be able to score more than 14 points, I guess, against a team that's not really that great. They're not that great, but we just played, we didn't play great. And again, we had a freshman quarterback who, the lights were bright. It was tough. And, again, there's a lot of blame to go around, but it's not worth burning the castle down. Like, there's a lot of people want to fire Ryan Day, fire the whole coaching staff, get rid of everybody. I'm like, guys, like, this was like a worst case scenario type game. And you just got to flush it down the toilet. Cause that's where I'm at. Cause it sucks, cause again, you can have all the perfect prognostications in the world, but when the starting quarterback gets hurt, then all of a sudden, if you're picking who's going to win the Super Bowl, then all of a sudden Pat Mahomes blows his ACL out, then none of it matters anymore. Everything changes. So again, it is what it is. I'm going to burn through a bunch of super chats. Got 14 of them. Thank you guys. Mark Bundy, thank you for the deuce. If you have a question, toss it in there. Coach Billy Taylor, thank you for the deuce. If you have a question, throw it in the chat. Billy Legree, thank you for the 5. OSU is a shell of itself. I disagree. And the catapult news is the dagger. Not only the biggest cheaters of all, they're looking like Iowa. I don't think that we're cheaters. I mean, the catapult thing is just kind of is what it is. We'll see how that all plays out. But I totally disagree with us being a shell of ourselves. I think that this was, again, take any of the playoff teams and make them play their third string quarterback and let's see how they look. And again, could that happen? Probably not. But tonight was one of those nights. So again, you can't, when there's something this far of an outlier, you can't count this, and totally skew the mean as to what Ohio State has been over the last, 5-6 years under Ryan Day. Sean Kruka, appreciate you, my man. Thank you for the 5. Got a feeling of players that were thinking of coming back will declare after that disaster. See, I think it's the opposite. I think that a lot of these guys are going to want to come back just because, if you get a legit quarterback, which I think they're about to get a legit quarterback, guys don't want to go with that crap taste in their mouth, honestly. Like, I've lived it. It sucks. I think they've got a lot of upside, but Nevada, your thoughts on that? I think it's going to make guys come back.
Yeah, I mean, well, look, every one of these are an individual decision. The question is who improved their draft stock tonight. And so other than Jack Sawyer. Now, Jack Sawyer is an interesting story because nobody took more abuse in the Twitter world and in the messenger world than you and I about defending Jack Sawyer. I mean, Jack Sawyer was just pillared. And what did he have, 3.5, 4.5 sacks? And I mean, he was just dominant off the edge.
Oh, my God.
And, but he's the only guy. I mean, everybody else really, I don't know if there's any tape that they're going to show for this. It's like, hey, this is the reason I want to leave. So we'll see. Those are such individual decisions. I think it's going to have the opposite effect. I think more guys will stay than less. But, we'll all find out here in the next couple of weeks.
I mean, you're right, because what's hilarious is tonight we had 6 sacks on defense. Jack had 3. JT had 1. Ty Hamilton had 1. I mean, that's our best output of the year by far versus an SEC school. That's better than we did versus Youngstown State or Western Kentucky or whoever. So, I mean, Jack was out there balling, man. I mean, it was like every time I looked up, there was another sack. So, but I think these guys are all coming back, guys. I know everybody's salty and angry, but, again, when you put an 18-year-old out there at quarterback, like, come on. Like, that's so impossible. So it shows how I hate Ryan Day's face. A lot of people are hating on Ryan today. I don't know. I mean, it's hard for me to get angry at Ryan when all of a sudden you're starting your third string guy. Ty Jones, thanks for the deuce again. Terry Kovac, thank you for the 6. What all assistants do you believe it needs to go? I don't know. I think that Corey Dennis and Parker Fleming are likely going to move on. I don't know who else potentially could. I know there's a lot of smoke around LJ, but if you get JT back and you signed Edric Houston, and you got Sawyer and Mike Hall and Tyleek. Like, you can't move on from LJ. Those guys are all there to play for LJ. They don't want a new guy. Nevada, I mean, we've talked to nauseam about Corey Dennis and Parker Fleming. Do you, I mean, are those the guys you most likely think would move on after the season?
No, but and again, I I I don't want this show to be all hope is lost, because that's not where I'm sick to my stomach, but all hope is not lost. But we do have to talk about the elephant in the room, in my humble opinion, because like if we're looking at the game and we're kind of going, okay, special teams, they sucked again. Parker Fleming, great, I'm there with you. Defensively, you can't ask for much more. I mean, yeah, was I happy about 2 scores in the fourth? No, of course not. But blaming the defense for the loss tonight seems a little harsh. Um, so let's not talk about the defense. But has there been a unit that has regressed more than the offensive line on this entire team? I mean, you're talking about the offense, and you're going wide receivers. Well, we're not firing Hartline anytime soon. Running backs, Tony Alford. I mean, whatever. But like offensive line, like why isn't that like the lead topic on every? I mean, the offensive line, 99% of the schools in the country would die to have just 2 or 3 of the highly regarded guys. Look at our room. Our room is all 5-star guys, 4-star guys, all Americans, top 100 players. I mean, it's just literally up and down the lineup. And Justin Fry has done less with more than any coach, and it's all on the position coach, because I'm telling you, you can't have this much talent. You see offenses operate every week, and they don't look like this, and they don't have a single 4-star on the team, let alone 5-star. And Justin Fry has taken a room that was an absolute team strength, and he has just run it off the road. And I know he's dreamy, and I know he's going to be a head coach someday, and I know he's Ryan Day's bestest buddy, but like, come on. I mean, that is such bad play right there. And I refuse to accept any type of thing like, oh, it's talent. We don't have enough talent in that room. Look at the guys that we have in that room. They're all high 4 stars or 5-star guys. It's not talent. It's got to be coaching. And I don't think that guy gets nearly enough flack or pressure. And if Ryan really wanted to man up and go, I really recognize that we've got an issue, and I'm really going to be, it's going to take this as kind of a watershed moment to do something, he'd fire Justin Fry tomorrow. He would. He'd fire him tomorrow and get a different offensive line coach, because that was as bad an offensive line performance as I mean, I harken back to like 2016 Clemson, or some of the legendary bad offensive line performances.
Yeah.
I mean, you're an offensive lineman. You know every single Ohio State game. Tell me a worse offensive line performance than tonight.
Well, again, like I tonight was bad, but I always kind of pitted against what was the talent level, and like when we were atrocious versus Clemson in that 2016 game, they had 3 first-rounders on their D line. So they had Dexter Lawrence, who's going to $100 million D tackle, Christian Wilkins, $80 million guy, Cleveland Farrell's 4th overall pick. So it's like, those guys were ultra legit, and those guys won the national championship. So like, again, I've been here. I'll put my hand on my heart. I lost 2 national championships. We lost to Florida in 06. They had 2 first-rounders at the end. They had Ray McDonald as a 3rd-rounder. The best player on their entire defense was their D tackle. Then the next year we lost to LSU. They had the number 3 overall pick at the end and the number 5 overall pick in Glenn Dorsey at D tackle. So those guys are like ultra legit. Missouri is not ultra legit. Missouri is a very average team, maybe slightly above average, but at best average. They're not first rounders littering the lot. Oh my God, how are we going to block these guys? Oh my God, these guys are going to be $100 million extension guys in the NFL, like Dexter Lawrence and some, like Tyson Jackson, Dorsey, like those types of guys. So I just think that the decision to bench Carson Hinsman was very interesting. I mean, Carson started the first 12 games and they benched him for Enoch. And Enoch was awful. And again, I think Enoch's a very nice kid. I do not want to come off the top rope on these kids, but he's only started 2 games in his career. He started the Michigan game last year and they benched him. literally, they benched him after the first quarter because he was so bad. They put Josh Fryer in at guard. And then they started him tonight. And he was terrible. And again, like I do not, I don't blame one guy, but I watched him closely because they decided to, hey, let's put Matt Jones at center, let's bench Carson, let's put Enoch in. And again, Carson's not my buddy either. I don't know anything about Carson, but it's like you take a guy that started the first 12 games, started the Michigan game, hung in there, did okay, and you put in a guy that hasn't started a game in a year, and against Missouri, and they're good, they're not great, they're good up front, and he was bad. I mean, and again, Matt. I don't feel like Matt was making the calls. I don't think Matt really knew the calls. Matt's never had to make the calls. So you put in a first-time starter at center versus not an ultra sophisticated defense, but a defense that was running enough different stuff that, when you're making a call in pass protection and you got to say, hey, we're going to slide this way or the back's going to go this way. Like sometimes you just have to guess based on the look you're seeing. And you're going to have, in what Jim Bowman used to say, you have to have the balls to make the call. So like Nick Mangold would try to figure out where the stuff was coming from. And he'd say, okay, we're going to go that way. We're going to go that way. We're going to go Liz. We're going to go Rip or whatever. And like, sometimes you're wrong. But a lot of time, Nick was like a computer and he usually could pick everything off. But like, you got to have some balls to do that. And I don't think Matt was very comfortable doing it. And again, there were times where we had enough blockers tonight and we were turning guys loose. And again, that's on coaching, because when the players don't get it, again, Urban Meyer had the greatest saying of all time when I coached for him. He said, there's no such thing as a dumb player, just dumb effing coaches. And I'd be like, oh, okay. So if the players don't get it, that means I didn't go over it enough. So I better go over it a little bit more. So, again, it's easy now. The game's over. They're eating their cold chicken tenders. They're sitting at the hotel. They're wearing their stupid cowboy hats. They got their purses on. They might not care, but we, I don't want to say we vomited everywhere, but like there were a lot of things that were easy deals that we just weren't real good at. I mean, Enoch's a 5th-year guy. He's not a 2nd-year guy. He's an 18-year-old. Like Lincoln, here's the deal. And again, I am not an apologist, not a sunshine pumper. Don't call me any of that. I'm a realist. And I'm the smartest guy in the entire Ohio State beat by far. Been a player. I've been a coach. I've won bowl games. I've lost bowl games. I've seen it all. So I'm not sunshine pumping, but I'm just saying, look, it's hard for me to lay all this at the feet of Lincoln Keenholz when he's an 18-year-old freshman playing in his first game ever, and we don't really help him. And the kid's out there trying to dissect blitzes, and things are coming a million miles an hour, and he ran scout team all year, so he wasn't ready for tonight. He wasn't playing. I mean, I'm sure he's getting mentally ready to play tonight, but he wasn't thinking he's going to play tonight. He's thinking, this is like all of us, we thought this is the Devin Brown show. We're going to be in good shape, but it just wasn't that sick. So we're going to keep going through these super chats. We have a ton of these, so thank you guys. Appreciate you guys. Derek Westlake, thanks for the deuce. Where would you start with the staff if it was you? Well, we talked about, quarterback, Justin Fry. We talked about pretty much everywhere. Nevada, we kind of did the staff thing already. Is there any other stuff you want to add to the staff corrections, in your opinion?
No, just like I said, I think, look, Ryan's running out of people to fire. You know what I'm saying? That Ryan's like, fired everybody and brought in buddies and done his thing. But at some point, I just think that you've got to be realistic about where your problems lie. And your problems don't lie on the defensive side of the ball. There are tweaks and enhancements and things that you can do on that side to be better, for sure. But that's not the problem. I mean, Ryan is part of the problem. Ryan, like we've said all along, it's really hard duty calling the plays from the sideline and trying to be the CEO of the company and doing all that. Yet he insists upon doing it. And I thought Ryan tightened up tonight, and I understand all the reasons for doing it. Bad field position, young quarterback, but you weren't going to win the game 3-0. There was no scenario where Ohio State wins 3-0 in one of the great whatever types of performances of all time. So you have to take some. You have to let the quarterback throw the ball. And I actually thought when Lincoln started throwing the ball a little bit there at the end, that he was doing a pretty good job with it. He was doing a nice job going out there throwing. I think that Ryan called a poor game. I understand the circumstances dictated that. And what I said to Ohio State fans is think about it from Missouri's standpoint. Missouri had their quarterback. His best plays the whole game were the quarterback run, as we've talked about a million times. And that guy wasn't Braxton Miller, or that guy wasn't Terrell Pryor, or that guy wasn't, Usain Bolt. It was just like the guy that was just running around and he'd slip through and run for some yards. But what if he had gotten hurt and they had to go to the, do you think Missouri would have scored? No, they
No,
wouldn't have scored.
God, no. Are you
So
kidding me? They could barely
so
score their
we
starter.
so we could have won 3-0 at that point. So it's like, I, I, I bet MMA. I bet MMA. I bet a lot of money on fighting. And sometimes you can have really good fighters. I had a really good fighter the other day. It was a minus 200 fighter going, just killing a guy. Killing a guy, throws a punch, slips, kind of turns his back. The other guy cold cock, catches him with one, knocks him out cold. Now, was that a bad bet or was that bad luck? And I liken that to this injury. This injury is like catching a punch when you're in a fight, and we just couldn't recover. We couldn't recover from going to a quarterback that had only thrown 4 passes or never done. I don't even know what Lincoln's stats were for tonight. He certainly hadn't seen much action, if at
Six,
all.
yeah, 6 for 17 for 86 yards.
I mean,
5.1 a thing. So, I mean, I don't know how you can win on defense when that's, like if you look at the defensive statistics, Brady Cook, the quarterback, 11 for 18 for 128 yards, which is 7.1 average and 1 touchdown. Like, if you told me we held their quarterback to 128 yards, I'd be like, oh, hell, we absolutely won. We had to have 120 yards. Then you look at the rushing. We gave up 200 yards rushing on 53 carries. 3.8 a carry. That's terrible. That's atrocious. But, we had 2.9 a carry. Because again, Devin Brown lost, 12 and Lincoln got sacked a bunch of times. So that killed his average. But, our defense played well enough to win. Like, period, point blank. I mean, dude, if we give up 14 points to, an 11-1 SEC or a 10-2 SEC school, like, you got to score more than 14 to beat a team like that. All right, we got 1,000 super chats to get through. Daniel Henry, forget transfer QB. We need O-line. I agree. Also need Jack Story to keep playing like that. Jack Story was the best player on the field tonight on either team. He should have won the MVP of the game, 3 sacks. And again, he's been doing that all day, all week, all year. In the last 7 games, he's been our best guy in defense. And people just don't know it because they're so obsessed with sacks. But he had 3 of them tonight, so... I keep cranking through these. Derek Westlake, any chance Cam Ward has been waiting on this game? I don't think so. I think Will Howard's the guy that Ryan Day wants, and I think Will Howard is that's the guy that Ryan Day is going to get. So stay tuned for that. Again, we broke that today. We broke that 2 weeks ago. We did a podcast on it. Then he flirted with SC, and then SC got a little squirrely. Then he came back to Ohio State, and he's been committed to Ohio State for 5-6 days. So, I mean, again, does it matter? No. But, I mean, would he be a guy that Ryan Day seems to like? Sure. I mean, Ryan knows more about quarterbacks than Oliver knows, so he knows what he likes and what he doesn't like. Deborah Sobel, thank you for the 10. I felt for Devin also. I agree, man. It sucks. This was his shining moment. He sprained his ankle again. And he had his ankle spatted and he had him taped, so it wasn't like he was out there loose, but whatever. What a tough game. Thought about Nevada losing a bundle. Sorry, buddy. Well, that 10 will probably help him with a little bit towards the community college. So thank you, Deborah. I don't know how to respond. I've never seen anybody feel sorry if you lose in a bet Nevada, but thank you, Deborah. Appreciate that. Thoughts, Nevada?
Yeah, Deborah, thank you so much. I mean that sincerely. Nevada Buck is just. I mean tonight sucked. There's just no way about it. And the problem was when Devin went down. Like when you're watching when you're watching the game as a gambler, my immediate thought is, oh my gosh, my money's all gone. You know what I'm saying?
God.
And then I was frantically trying to find ways to hedge off of it and hedged off some of it on the live stuff, but didn't get nearly enough off. But it was just like a slow motion execution because you just knew that we weren't going to be able to score. And to know when you just don't have any chance of scoring, short of like a defensive stupid score or maybe Jaden Ballard catching along. Jaden Ballard got a little burned today, which was kind of interesting. They put him out there, had him run around a little bit, but I appreciate the thoughts, man. Really do.
It's like, yeah, it's like I told you, it was like that Niners Browns game, man. I remember that game, the day that game came, I was like, man, if there's ever a game I'd bet a lot of money on, it'd be this one because Browns don't have Watson. They got whatever that guy, the backup quarterback. And first, like 10, I'm watching that game. McCaffrey gets kicked out of the game or gets hurt. Then all of a sudden, like Kittle got hurt, and then Trent Williams got hurt, and I was like, "Oh my god, they're gonna lose to." They were like 2 touchdown dogs on the road, and I was like, thank God I'm a softie and I didn't bet on that one. Ty Jones, thanks for the 5. Why would they change up the O line starters? They didn't help out QB2 or QB3. I think that, Carson Hinsman got the yips in practice and his snaps were all over the place. And Ryan Day and Justin Fry decided, hey, we're going to bench you and we're going to go with Enoch, who's a senior, and we want an older guy in there. And I don't think that our offensive line played better than they did versus Michigan. I don't think they were great versus Michigan, but I thought they were good enough to win versus Michigan, if that makes sense. I think Michigan's defense is vastly superior to Missouri's. So, again, the quarterback obviously being your Kyle McCord versus Lincoln Keynotes is a dramatic deal. But I just, Lincoln and Enoch, Enoch missed a lot of blocks, man. A lot of blocks. A lot of these times where, they have these replays, they do a handoff and, Trey Henderson, like they're down in the closed end of the field and Trey gets hit as soon as he touches the ball and loses 4 yards, and watching it would be Enoch. And I'd be like, what are we doing? Why do we hate Carson so much? But again, that's the coaches. They're in practice every day. And I'm kind of in practice every day too because I see a lot. But it was shocking. We had that on Buckeye Scoop about 3 weeks ago that there was a good chance Matt Jones is going to start at center. And I don't know. Nevada, your thoughts on the change up in line? Because I thought the O-line took a huge step backwards despite the quarterback. Just even if if everything's the same and you're just running the football and handing it off, like there was a lot of penetration in the backfield where, Trey would get the ball and he'd lose 4 yards as soon as he touched it, which is crazy.
Well, there's a rumor going around that Carson was being suspended from the game for doing that podcast that he did, or that like unauthorized thing or something. Now, again, I just so we know, I can say I haven't heard that. I'm not saying that's not true. I'm just saying that I haven't heard it. And I would typically hear something like that. I don't know if you've heard anything about that, Kirk, but I don't. Who knows? I do know he was snapping the ball all over the place. The helping technician had that, was talking about his yips with the snapping. Frankly, I thought having Matt Jones on the center would be beneficial and maybe it would do stuff. But boy, they looked absolutely lost tonight. And that's why people are talking, oh, we need to go to the portal and get more. What I am telling you, it's not talent, it's coaching. There's no way that you can't be that bad without it being coaching. It's just impossible. All these guys can't suck. They can't all suck. It can't be like a problem with that. This is a coaching issue. Every team like I said, 99% of the teams in America would kill to have our offensive line room. It's not a question of, oh, we need to go out and find another offensive lineman and we need to go out and get this. If you have the same coaching, you're gonna have the same issues. And I know I'm right on this one. Just like I knew I was right on Trey Henderson, just like I knew I was right on Trey Sermon, just like I knew I was right on Jack Sawyer. I know I'm right on this one. It's coaching. This is a coaching issue. Nothing else. Very simple.
I agree. And Josh Fryer was all Big Ten, and Donnie Jackson was all Big Ten, and so there's Donnie was a 5-star guy. Enoch was a 4-star Army All-American. We've got dudes. Luke Montgomery was a 5-star, 4-ish, probably a 4-ish, 5-star tackle. So there's guys in that room that are good. You just gotta get the right guys in the right seats and get the wrong guys off the bus. Treasure the Torah. Appreciate you, brother. As always, thank you for the 20. What up, my brother? Kirk, thank you for the shout out from Menace Sports Show earlier today. That was a blast with Zach. Zach does a great job. That show at Yogi's was fantastic. Thank you for all you guys that showed up today. It was great meeting a bunch of you guys. Besides that, what I seen play out on the field has me a loss for words, bro. Dude, it was, again, I'm an expert at losing big games, losing bowl games, losing games that you feel like going into the game, you have one great emotion where you feel like we're in great shape, we're going to do great. Again, I go back to the Florida game. You guys, everyone remembers the Florida game. We show up, we're 1-2 team, big favorites, and Ted Ginn breaks his leg on the first play. And everything is like the wheels fell off the wagon. It was a Murphy's Law game. Everything that could go wrong went wrong. That was kind of like tonight. Like, the one thing that couldn't happen to us tonight, the only thing that would have us lose the game tonight would be if Devin Brown gets hurt. And guess what happened? Devin Brown gets knocked out of the game. So Devin gets knocked out of the game, and all of a sudden, like, that's the one thing that can't happen. And honestly, with a lot of these teams, part of the portal issue is that the depth doesn't exist anymore. These backup quarterbacks are transferring. I mean, our starting quarterback left. So, I mean, a lot of these teams are walking into these bowl games, unless they're in the playoffs, and they're down either their starting quarterback or their backup quarterback. So if something happens and somebody sprains an ankle like Devin Brown did, then you're down to the nitty gritty, and you better say a prayer and go light a candle at church, because once you get down to that third string guy, it is not pretty. Nevada, I think you agree with all that. I'm going to keep burning through these super chats because we have 34 more of them. So we appreciate you guys. Again, the super chats all go to our Pay It Forward fund. So we're going to try to get through these so we can go to bed before 6 a.m. But thank you guys. We appreciate these. Dade Messina, thank you for the 5. From Knoxville, Tennessee. I love it. That's Vol Country. And my whole family's Tennessee fans, and they're all doing us trash talking, but man, we need some help somewhere at quarterback. I think Will Howard's coming, guys. And again, here's the deal. Like, say we need help at quarterback. Dude, he was a freshman. Like, we had a freshman out there that wasn't ready to play. So, I mean, it happens sometimes. It was one of those bad deals. Nevada, we get Will Howard. How much better do you feel about the quarterback situation?
Completely better. I mean, is he a perfect quarterback? No, but he's a veteran. You know what he can do. He's the perfect. I love his kind of Josh Allen approach to going back there. And no, I not only would I be excited again. I think we've already got him, and so I look forward to an announcement on this one fairly shortly. So that should be breaking news.
Yeah, I honestly can't wait for it. Sean Linsky, thank you for the 5. Appreciate you, brother. Love the show. Thank you so much. That means a lot to us. First ever super chat. I love that. Thank you. Again, we had CCP on a super chat today when I was at Zach's show, so that was really cool. I can't be the one who feels like our O-line isn't nasty enough. How do we fix that? I think it's who you recruit, man. It's hard to condition people to be nasty. Kind of people either are or they aren't, and I don't know if I ever see guys going kind of to the whistle or to the echo of the whistle, finishing guys. Like, we have a lot of guys that play really nice. And again, I'm not trying to pile on because we lost. I'm just saying, like, look, even when we win, I don't see much finish or nasty out of the line. And again, that's not in everybody. Like, a lot of guys I played with didn't finish. They weren't tough. They weren't nasty. So I think that's something you have to kind of set the tone within the room where, you gotta have that extra inertia and that push to really bury guys. And that was something I used to love to do. I used to love to finish guys and hurt guys and put guys in the ground, because I feel like it's like one of those things where there's like that kind of residual pain that you put in guys early in the game that later in the game they break. And that's something that I think that really good Lions pride themselves on. And I just don't know if we have that mentality. I think, some of it is the offense we run. I think some of it is just how we're coached and the mentality. Because I know we like to, again, like I think Ryan Day is a fantastic coach. I mean, he's the best guy for the job at Ohio State right now. I can't think of a better guy I'd rather have it at Ohio State. I mean, Urban's not coming back. So I'm just being realistic. Vrabel's not leaving the NFL, and I think that Ryan's the guy for it. But like, if you want to be tough, like, you can't run around saying that you're tough. And Ryan, as much as I think he's a great guy, he loves to run around and say, "Oh, we're a tough team, or we're a tough program, we're tough this, and I'm a tough guy, and we have tough kids and tough players." I'm like, guys that are really tough don't run around and tell people they're tough. If you have to say it out loud, it's probably not true. Like, when I was a captain, I didn't run around saying, "Oh, I'm a great leader, guys. Listen to me. I'm a great leader." Like, people have to just know that, or other people have to say that about you. You can't run around and say, if you have to say it about yourself and you have to say it out loud, it's not true. Period, end, point blank. Just, remember that going forward. But it's especially particular in football because, if I got around and say I'm a big tough guy, then you're never a real tough guy. But I appreciate that, Sean. D. Sonny, thank you for the 5. You said Lincoln didn't know the offense. Is that why Trey kept running up the line pre-snap? Was Trey calling the protection? I think Trey was trying to adjust to a lot of the zero blitz they were bringing. Trey was trying to walk up and pick up one of the blitzers. And the problem is we were running a lot of empty protection. Empty means that there's 5 offensive linemen. So imagine the 5 offensive linemen. And then sometimes we'd either have Trey in the backfield or we'd have him split out, and sometimes he'd come back in. So it's either an empty or a 6-man protection. So I'm not trying to be a wizard and wow you with my football knowledge, but if there's 6 guys that are protecting, so say the 5 offensive linemen, the 2 tackles, 2 guards in the center, and the running back, there's 6 guys protecting. The defense will bring 7, and they'll be in zero coverage, which is man coverage across the board. And so Lincoln has to beat that 7th guy with the throw. That 7th guy is going to be unblocked. And there were times where that guy just came free and Lincoln didn't get rid of the ball fast enough. And our receivers didn't get the receivers have to run shorter routes so they can get loose. Cause, like with Urban Meyer, when we get that blitz cover 0, where it's literally an all out blitz, they're bringing the house. That was like, let's go score a touchdown because everyone's manned up. So if you've got, Corey Brown, or you've got, Mike Thomas, or some of these guys that we had that were awesome, like hell, Mecca. If you have a Mecca or Colonel Tate and they're manned up on him one-on-one, those guys have to cook those DBs and go score. And I just don't think Lincoln was ready for that because I don't think he's had enough reps at that. And I think that Missouri's whole philosophy changed when he came to the game. They said, we're going to blitz the absolute crap out of this kid and make him try to beat us. Your thoughts, Nevada? Do you think that the defense changed dramatically once the freshmen came into the game?
Yeah, and that's again, this is where I think that criticism of Ryan Day is merited, because it's not like during this bowl prep that he wasn't aware that Missouri was going to blitz. We talked
Yeah.
about it every single show, every single day. That's what they're going to do. And while I understand that Lincoln's the backup, you've got to at least prepare him for, like, at the basic level for, okay, Lincoln, if you come in here, they're probably going to, now they're really going to be blitzing you. And how about we run into that zero blitz? Or how about we, what I'm saying? How about we try to do some different things um, that could be blitz beaters? And I know we try to run some screens, and we're just not good at running screens. And um, but it just seemed like it seemed like Ryan was completely caught off guard by what Missouri was doing, and it didn't seem like he should have been so off guard, because we all knew what they were going to be doing. And I think that's where my frustration comes in.
I totally agree. Jackie Moon, thank you for the 20. I've passed kidney stones more enjoyable than this game. I have not passed one of those yet, but I can imagine that's very painful. I've seen that on Seinfeld before. My dog's crap looked prettier than our O line today. Yeah, my dog's crap is pretty ugly, so I can imagine this probably on target. Moving Jones to center was a bigger disaster than the Bud Light ad debacle and the Titanic combined. Straight trash. That is one of the best posts I've ever read. So you compared moving him to the Bud Light thing, which was like the trans thing, and the Titanic, which went to the bottom of the oceans. That's pretty good. And dog crap and kidney stones. So, Jackie, that is a fantastic post. I appreciate you brightening my day, and thank you for the 20, my friend. That was great. Guys, thanks. Is Howard or Ward coming in? Thanks. Thank you for the deuce, Jeff. It's Howard. I mean, he's the guy right now, and people are putting crystal balls, but you got to remember, we did a podcast on it like 3 weeks ago. There's a timestamp where we're talking about this kid coming from Kansas State. Will Howard is going to be our next quarterback, and here he is. So now everybody's crystal balling it. Everybody's, people are going SC and whatever, and him and Ryan Day met in Dallas weeks ago. And we had it on BuckeyeScoop.com, and everybody else kind of tails us because we're the only ones that have any real information on what's really going on in the program. So. Howard's the guy. I mean, Ward's been out of the equation for a while, so get ready for Howard season. Dave Mathis, thank you for the 10. Unlucky roll, but for sure fire. The special teams coach. Of course, time and time again, we miss kicks. We do miss a lot of kicks. Do we portal for quarterbacks since Brown has 2 bad ankles? Also, Sawyer had a breakout game. Glad to see him get home. Jack was the best player on the field. 3 sacks tonight, 3 tackles for a loss. Dominant. Again, Brown sprained his ankle again. That's as crazy and bizarre as I've ever seen that he rolled his ankle again. Nevada, I assume you're ready to move on from Parker Fleming, like everybody in the universe seems to be.
Well, when you got the delay of game penalty on the early punt, that one, and then the holding penalty on the one, and it just, it was just a comedy of errors. Man. And Devin and his ankles, like this one, he tweaked. This was the other ankle, wasn't it? This was not like it was like the one ankle, and now it's this ankle.
God.
And look, I never bag on kids for injuries, but I just think, look, you have a moment in time, and if you, as a quarterback, if you are put in twice and both times you get injured and go out, then it's just hard to, that's really really hard to swallow as a fan going into a 2024 season where and I know people don't want to hear about it, Burnett, but we are going to be loaded. It's going to be a loaded team. It's going to be a national championship contender, but you need a national championship quarterback, and it needs to be available. He needs to be there, and that's why Will Howard makes so much sense, and a guy that's durable and a guy that'll be ready to suit it up the first thing come spring. And Ryan, go get him tomorrow. Announce it and let's get this done.
Yeah, and you guys that haven't seen Will Howard, you got to think Josh Allen. That's what he's like. He's a horse. He can run. He's got a cannon. He's not super accurate, but Josh Allen wasn't super accurate either. So, and he's played with K-State guys. I played with Emeka and Tate and Ennis and those guys. So he's got some real dudes next year. Dave Mathis, thank you for the 10. Unlucky roll, but for sure, fire this. Oh, I already got this one. It's been a long night. I apologize, guys. Pooh Beard, thank you for the 10. Again, once Devin got hurt, the game stopped mattering. The lack of clarity of Devin means with a transfer court QB is a must. 2D balled out. The defense was awesome tonight. I don't care what anybody says. I don't know how IF fans do it. I would gouge my eyes out. Well, I mean, like, you gotta understand, like, if you're down to your third string quarterback, everything changes. Like, I mean, my expectations change. Anyone with realistic expectations, especially when it's an 18-year-old, like, it's hard. That kid's barely had any reps all season. Throwing him in versus a good SEC school, not a lot of help, and it sucks. But I don't think we're Iowa. I think this was just terrible circumstances. But again, I'm not a sunshine pumper. I'm just a realist. Nevada, we aren't quite Iowa yet, are we?
No, we're not Iowa, but we were tonight. I mean, we were dreaming about Iowa's offense tonight, and but no, we're not Iowa. No, look. Throughout Ohio State's history, you can go back and there have been these games. We've had games like this.
Oh
And
God, I played games like this.
Yeah, so Ryan Day luckily has dodged a lot of these, but there are certain times when stuff just happens, and this is not an excuse. But Devin Brown going out of the game. If you tell me before the game, Devin Brown's going to go out of the game the second series, tweak his ankle, and we're going to go with Lincoln Keno's the rest of the way, I am betting the farm on Missouri. I'm betting the farm on Missouri.
Oh
So,
God.
but I didn't know that. And, it's so funny. A lot of people now, it seems like that was just like, oh, that was so obvious. Nevada, like Devin Brown was going to get. No, I mean, it changed everything about the game. It changed everything about the game plan. It changed everything about the outcome. So let's not completely overreact over something that happened that nobody could have even possibly have planned for, and was super unlucky. And had that happened on the other foot to the quarterback for the other team, we'd be laughing about winning 17-0 or whatever it was against a hapless Missouri team, and that they wouldn't have scored. Missouri would not have scored if their quarterback had been hurt. They wouldn't even come close to scoring. They made their first trip to the red zone in the fourth quarter, so they weren't scoring.
Yeah, I mean, like if Texas is playing Washington in the playoffs and Quinn Ewers gets knocked out of the game, and they put Arch Manning in, who's never played, he's played like 2 snaps his whole career, and he has to go play Washington's defense, which is a great defense. Like, he's gonna stink it up. He's not gonna be ready to go. Are you crazy?
Remember that national championship game when Colt McCoy got knocked out in like the first?
Yes, yes,
and then they just died, and it was like
they sucked.
Yeah. I mean, that's what happened, and it's sad, and it hurts, and financially, like I said, it was bad.
It sucks.
But, what are you gonna do? It happened.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's like I've said it 10 times tonight. That Browns game, when the Browns knocked McCaffrey out of the game in the first quarter, I was like, this is no bueno. I mean, you lose the best player in the NFL this year, and he is out of the game. And they lost Trent Williams, their superstar left tackle, and I was like, this is ultra no bueno. And thank God I didn't put much money on that game. Michael C., thank you for the 10. Another Ryan Day big game loss. This is John Cooper, which is Cooper 2.0. That team at North record was 2-10-1. I think everybody knows that record. That's how it's so funny. He should have more QBs ready to go. Dude, I think it's hard in the portal era, man, because like you only have 3 to 4 scholarship guys, and when McCord takes off, then all of a sudden you're waiting on Aaron Nolan to get here, and you've got your two guys, and when one gets hurt, you're kind of up the creek. But I agree, he should have more to go. But like, when it's an 18-year-old man, I'm just a realist. Again, this isn't Madden, this isn't NCAA football. I know what it's like to be an 18-year-old playing major college football versus like a really good team, and it sucks. It's hard. Trevor Smith, thank you for the 20. Regardless of the quarterback situation, I feel the O-line was the downfall tonight. O-line was bad. I can't sugarcoat it. Again, I don't like just blindly elbow dropping the guys from the top rope, the O-line, but there were a lot of easy pickups that our guys look like they'd never seen before. That's not good. If they could pick up the blitz, different outcomes. Scheme play calling didn't help the O-line either. Scheme play line couldn't help that. Trevor, that was a fantastic post. I agree. I thought our scheme was not great tonight, given what we were working with Lincoln. Dude, you got to make it simple throws. You got to make it quick throws, man. You can't have him reading much. You can't have him sitting back there and gun, getting zero blitz to death and fumbling and getting hit. And there's just too much of that tonight. So, Trevor, that's a fantastic post. Appreciate you, my man. 5. Do you think anything, Sean Kritka, thank you for the 5. Do you think anything, the catapult stuff amounts to anything? We'll see. I don't know. I mean, that stuff's all just fodder to me at this point with the film, but we'll see. It's going to be real interesting. Nick Przitsky, thank you. Or Prztulski, thank you. Thank you for the 20. Hell with everyone dogging the Buckeyes. You're not real fans. If you think Ryan Day needs to be fired, who would you replace him with? I'll wait for your answer. That's a great question. We need to get better at getting all QBs ready to play. I agree. Again, this was a short time to get Lincoln ready to play, and I'm sure Ryan Day wasn't played again. Devin Brown getting hurt in the second series. So again, a lot of people bet on this game. A lot of guys bet Ohio State. We felt really good about Ohio State winning. I felt fantastic about Ohio State winning, but like when the quarterback gets knocked out of the game, it all changes at every level. It's like the Bengals losing Joe Burrow are not the same as when they had Joe Burrow, or these teams outside of the Browns picking up Flacco and still being good. Most teams, when they lose their starting quarterback, they go straight into the toilet, and that's kind of what happened tonight for the Bucs. And they weren't even they lost their starter and their backup quarterback, so that's really hard. Nevada, I mean, that's a great post. It's not really a question there, but I appreciate that. John Mertz, thank you for the 5. What was your opinion on the O-line? I've given that a lot. I thought they sucked. Got to be able to run the ball with the NQB. I agree. I think we had to run the ball better. I think that we just had to simplify stuff. And I thought we were a little too difficult for Lincoln, because Lincoln couldn't decipher the blitzes in empty and in 6-man protection. And it looked like he'd never seen it before. We hadn't walked through it enough. We hadn't drilled it enough. And when it happened in clutch time, it was really, really bad. The career guy, thank you for the 5. All I have to say to all the Fire Ryan Day people is be careful what you wish for. I agree. Nevada, I'm going to let you talk real quick because I've talked for, it feels like 10 straight minutes. But like the Fire Ryan Day thing is interesting because, me and you are not Ryan Day apologists. We've had a very interesting relationship with Ryan Day. I'm very fair to Ryan Day. I feel like you're very fair to Ryan Day. But that being said, people that want him fired, I don't know who you realistically could bring in that would be better than Ryan Day tomorrow. But again, we talk about that a lot, but your thoughts on it as of tonight. Because if you put a gun to my head and said, Kirk, you're the new athletic director, go out and get our top head coach that we get to coach at The Ohio State University, who's better than Ryan Day, who you're hiring, I wouldn't have any idea who to hire. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's one of those situations where I've never said fire Ryan Day ever, not on a single podcast. Nope. I've never typed that. I've never suggested, because I don't believe that. I think look, every time, nobody in the world of sports, if you're in the world of sports, you're going to get your booty kicked sometime. And sometimes it just happens. And sometimes it's your fault. And sometimes it's not your fault. And sometimes it's weird. And sometimes stuff happens. But you're going to lose. And this happened tonight. And for Ryan, I think he's got to do some soul searching about where the problems really lie on the team. Don't be, be afraid to make changes because of personal relationships or friendships or other types of things that are going on the coaching staff. You've got to make some changes on that. And for him, he's got to give up play calling. He's got to give up the play calling. And I think after a game, after a performance like this, It's the perfect opportunity for him to do that. You've heard other coaches talk about that. The Missouri coach talked about it very, very pointedly this week. And for Ryan, I think it's just. But do I want him fired? No, because I think you're absolutely right. You make a bad hire, and you can become any one of all the other schools in America that have gone to irrelevance and come back or stayed there. And I don't want to take that risk. I think with
Oh.
Ryan Day, you've got a known commodity. We've got to coach him. He's got to get better. We don't need him to be gone. He's just got to be better at what he's doing.
Yeah, and again, he's 44 years old. He's a young guy in the profession, man. And it's like, he hasn't had a chance to learn at Bowling Green or Utah or outside of the Eye of Sauron. When you're at Ohio State, man, and you screw up, it's the whole world sees it, and the whole world staples it to your forehead, and they flog you to death, and they cut your head off like you're Ned Stark. But that's part of it. But again, I don't think. And again, I love Mike Vrabel. I worked with Mike Vrabel. I used to, when he would come back from the offseason, he'd be in our workouts, and I'd cut up with him a little bit. He's fantastic player, fantastic guy, crazy dude, great dude, but he's not a college coach. I don't. And again, this isn't me saying it. If I put a microphone in his face, I'd say, Mike Vrabel, do you want to come deal with NIL and recruiting and transfer portal where your kids can become free agents whenever they want? I mean, he'd say F no. I bet my house on that. There's no chance he'd want to deal with that. So a lot of people have this pipe dream about Mike Vrabel, and I think that NFL life is unbelievable and luxurious. So all these people that want to do that, I don't buy it. Ty Jones 6-5. What happens to Devin Brown at day 8? Brings in Will Howard. God, man. I mean, he could portal, but if Kyle McCord ends up at Syracuse, like, where would Devin Brown go? I mean, Kyle McCord was 11-1 as a starter and was 30 yards away from beating Michigan, who's the number 1 seed in the tournament. And Devin can't really stay healthy. Like, this was a big night for Devin, and he fell on his face. And again, it's not his fault he got hurt, but he got hurt. It's part of the game. It's part of life. And so I don't know what kind of film he has that would make him think that he'd land in some unbelievable situation, but could he go to the portal if we bring in this kid from Will Howard? Yeah, absolutely. But it remains to be seen. I know that he did the burn the boats thing, and I'm here to compete. And I think in the perfect world, he'll stay through spring. They'll have a competitive competition, and maybe in the ultra world, he would stay all the way through next season and see how it goes. Because Will Howard's got 1 year left, so he's not a long-term solution. He's a plug and play. Let's go on a national title next year with our returning O-line, all the skill coming back, Trey Henderson, all these guys. So, I just think that Devin's gonna have a decision to make. Does he want to compete, or does he want to go to somewhere probably worse than Syracuse? I mean, again, Kyle McCord, who I think is a nice kid, and a lot of the guys I talked to on the team say they love him. He's a great kid, but he landed at Syracuse. He didn't land at Bama, didn't land at Georgia, didn't land at SC, didn't land at Texas. He landed at a team that lost like 49-0 in their bowl game the other night. So, where's Devin Brown gonna go? I don't know. But his film's not as good as Kyle McCord's is, and that's just the facts. Tyree, thank you, my man, for the 5. Send day to Ohio. Send day and Friday to Ohio Wesleyan. I can't take it anymore. They'd probably get better jobs than Wesleyan, but I understand the frustration. Spook Jr., thanks for the 20. Is Day an elite coach? I think he is. Beyond the bad luck of losing Devin early, this team seemed unprepared, particularly the line. Why was Hinsman bench? His snaps were all over the place. They tried to move him to guard during bowl practice. They wanted to have a little bit older guys, a little bit potentially stronger guys with Matt and Enoch in there, but Enoch was not better than Carson was. I promise you. I watched all 12 games of Carson at center, and he was much. We were a much better offensive line with him at center and Enoch on the bench than we were tonight. Your thoughts on that, Nevada?
Yeah, well, look, I've been a Carson guy. I've been saying that I thought Carson played a lot better than a lot of people thought all year long. We kind of saw it tonight. I never dreamed it would be this bad, but it was. I mean, it didn't work. Sometimes line combinations just don't work, and you know that as well as anybody. It's not just like taking 5 guys and putting them out there on the line, and oh, this guy's a 97 and this guy's a 95 and this guy's a 96, and I put them all there, and my offensive line cooks every time I run inside zone on Madden. it's about how do guys complement each other? How well do they play together? How well do they combination block? How well do it's all of those things, and it's just clear that it wasn't working. And it's like I said, how can you blame anybody but the position coach? How can we be talking about anybody other than Justin Fry right now? I mean, that was bad. And this is a unit that's been kind of in this steady decline since he got here. It's literally, and again, I don't want to bring up he will not be named like Voldemort, Voldestud, but
Studamort.
Studamort, but like, guys, do you realize how stupid it was, like bagging on this guy? Oh, he's terrible. We don't know. He's terrible. When we get rid of him, we'll be much better. Do you think? Are we really better? Are we really better now than we were? No, we're not. It's not even close. And is this a one-off or is this a trend? It's a trend. Well, do the math, man. Do the math. I can tell you when it began. I can tell you the day it started, and I can show you the graph line. And you guys go, wow, this is like some mystery. This is like some Agatha Christie mystery. This is like the death on the Orient Express or something. No, this is not a mystery. This is not a whodunit. Ryan Day did it in the conservatory with the Justin Fry. That's what he did. He flushed our offensive line play down the toilet. He did. That's what's happened. That's where we're at. Now, fix it, Ryan. You can do this.
All right. Buckeye 91, thanks for the deuce. Worst offensive line performance since the BCS National Championship game. No offense, Kirk. None taken, because that was actually a really good offensive line. That was a really good D-line. They had first rounders on that. Missouri didn't have any first rounders. So, again, when it doesn't go right, but you're going against great players, it's different than when you're going against guys that are just average. Like, Missouri's defense is average. That's not a great defense, but we made them look good because we were ready to go. Joshua Vargo, thank you for the 5. This may have been discussed, but is our strength and conditioning program behind? Are they stuck in the past? Our line is not tough. There's a lot of talk about Mick. I love Mickey's program. I was in Mickey's program. I worked in Mickey's program. I've seen Mickey's program. I think he's exceptionally progressive. He's a guy that is always... We have more doohickeys and things that measure everything, how fast you run and how much you run and hamstring tension and every dumb thing in the world. I think our strength and conditioning program is progressive. I think Mickey is like the godfather of strength and conditioning. I think our guys look the part. I think our guys they play hard. But I don't think they're as tough as they used to be, because I don't think Ryan lets Mickey be as tough as Urban did. Because, Urban kind of gave Mickey carte blanche, and I know Ryan doesn't do that. So, again, I'm not going down that road. Not going to crap on Ryan, but I know for a fact that, he's told Mickey to back down a little bit when Mickey's wanted to turn the heat up, and I think that's something that needs to change. And our line not being tough, well, when you run for, our yardage was, we averaged 2.9 a carry tonight. So, again, when everyone wanted to kill Stud, and you understand. And again, I'm not Greg Sudwar is not on my cell phone. I don't know him. He's never been a source of mine. He wouldn't know if I walked into a room, he wouldn't even know my name. But his last year in 2021, he had 6 players on the offensive line make all Big Ten. That has never happened in the history of college football, where 6 offensive linemen make all conference. And he did it. So, we had 2 first teamers. We had Thayer and Nick Petit make first team. We had DeJuan make second team. We had Paris make third team. Matt Jones, who was like the 6th man, made honorable mention. And Luke Whippler made honorable mention. That is insane. That'll never happen again for the rest of your life. You'll never see, we barely get 2 guys on the team on the first, second, third, and honorable mention anymore. And we had 6 make it that year. So, and he got fired. That's the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. But that Michigan game had far-reaching implications. Todd, thanks for the 5. QB doesn't matter when the O-line is curled up in the fetal position, wanting back in mommy's womb. Embarrassing. I don't know if they're in the fetal position, but I don't know if I ever want to go back in the womb. Appreciate that, Todd. JRoots99, thanks for the 5. Our fan base is the worst fan base in the land. Emotional crybabies, always crying. If you watched the game, Day did what he could with what he had. Honestly, I here's the thing. Our fans are not the worst in the world. I love our fans. Our fans get very emotional. They get very angry. They want to kill somebody when we lose. And I'm good with that. I'm fine with that. I mean, trust me, you got to understand. This is a guy, lost the Florida game, started that game, got whipped unmercilessly after that game. So I'm good with it. I have thick skin. I'm like a hippopotamus or rhino, whatever has got thick skin out there. And because guess what? When you win those games, like when you beat Michigan that 1-2 game, the fans are over the top, excited, exuberant. They want to go to the autograph shows. They want to buy you a drink. Like they want to do, like it's the greatest thing in the world. So you can't have one without the other. You can't have the fans that love you to death and you're exalted and they want to read Buckeye Scoop and they want to watch your podcast. And then on the other flip, they don't get upset when you lose. So I'm good with it. So you guys can vent, you guys can swear at me, you guys can go crazy on the message board. I'm here for it. Yeah, this is an airing of grievances. Nevada Buck had a nice airing of grievances to start the show with the gambling stuff. Nevada, again, I tell these players this because these players they're little delicate tulips and they get real sad and they get emotional and they got to go see their shrinks and their mental health guys tomorrow because the big meanies on Twitter yelling at them. But guess what? If you can't deal with that, man, go to Akron, go to Kent State, go to Indiana, where nobody cares about football. You come to Ohio State, man, you lose a game, our fans they're gonna let you know about it. Your thoughts, Nevada?
Yeah, I have a slightly different view in that I want the people that listen to our podcast, the people that are on our site, to just be a little better, just be a little smarter. I mean, you can have an aggressive take or just be well thought out. Don't be emotional and saying stuff that's just crazy because I mean it doesn't do anybody good. We're all hurting. Everybody's sick about what happened today. Everybody's upset about what happened today. Nobody feels good about what happened today. And I think what we're all looking for is, well, where do we go from here? What type of constructive things can we do to kind of get it? Because Ohio State football is going to go on no matter what. It's not going to end tonight. It didn't end when we lost to Clemson. It didn't end when you lost to Florida. It goes on. The machine rolls on. And like you said, Ryan Day is 44 years old. It's incredibly young for a head coach in college football. He's still cutting his teeth. He's still figuring it out. And he's got a long road ahead of him here. And for Ohio State fans, just like I said, just let's try to come up with some solid discussion points, talk about them vigorously and everything like that. But we're not going to be like the rest of the crazies out there in the Twitter world because, I think the dumbest people in the world get on social media and start screaming at players or screaming at coaches or screaming at this or, because that does nobody any good. We're all hurting. Let's support each other.
I agree. It's nasty out there, but that's just kind of it's what we deal with. So again, I appreciate you guys trying to be better, and I appreciate you guys bringing some fantastic questions. D Sunny, probably the best questions on our entire show come from you. So I appreciate you, Ryan. Thank you for the 5. How do you think a young Hinsman reacts to being benched like that? I would be distraught. I would be beside myself. I'd be ready to fight back and go win my spot back next year. Does that kill his pride and risk a transfer? I don't think so. I mean, the guys that were in front of him, Matt Jones and Enoch, are both moving on to the next level. I'm sure they'll probably neither get drafted, but there'll be guys that'll try out for the league or whatever. But Doug Dadish in 2004 got benched for the Michigan game. He started 11 straight games and got benched for the Michigan game for TJ Downing, and then he was benched for the Oklahoma State game, the Alma Bowl, and it was weird because he started all 11 games at left guard, and then we get to Michigan week and we got to walk through, and Jim Boltman walks up to him in the walkthrough and says, "Hey Doug, you're out, and TJ, you're in." Like, that's how it happens. There's not some ceremony. It's not like Survivor where they put your candle out. It's like, no, hey, you're not in anymore. You're not the starter anymore. Go stand back there and grab a bag. So that's how it happened. But Doug fought back and he became starting left tackle in 2005. So I've seen success stories, but it's how does Carson approach it? Because if I'm Carson, man, I'm in that weight room tonight. I mean, because he don't need to take no shower after the game. He didn't do nothing. He was in ERW. He ate the team meal. He rode the bus and he warmed up. He's in ERW. So again, going from being a starter to being an ERW is a tough gig. And if I'm Carson, man, I'm like the Tasmanian Devil starting tomorrow with Mickey Marotti in the weight room. Rich is where, thank you for the 20. Another special teams F up on our first punt. Had to burn a timeout. That is all we ever do. Our special teams are a disaster. We knew Miz was a blitzing team, and we kept sending 4 and 5 men out instead of keeping extra blockers. The one time, like Akinos had decent time to both tight ends stayed in and hit Emeka in the fourth. Yeah, I mean, the one time we picked it up, he actually made a nice throw, and he looked a little bit more comfortable because they'd run it 20 times. So, kind of is what it is, but I think that our special team F-ups kind of speak for himself, and I think there's going to be a change made there. We talk about this all the time. Joe Harm, thank you for the deuce. Recruiting issue, need a new offensive line coach, question mark. Well, I think that there's got to be improvement made. Again, I don't think that we lack talent in the offensive line. I just think that our guys don't play very well. And again, that's on coaching. J Roots 99. Also, Lincoln has a noodle arm. He's not ready and wasn't ready. This fan base don't understand. He's not the same as Cardell. Cardell had a week. Well, Cardell was also like 23 or 21 or 22 years old when he started. Like, he wasn't an 18-year-old. Like, he wasn't a freshman. Like, you gotta understand, Cardell coming out of Glenville went to prep school for a year. So he had prep school for a year, which is like basically an extra year of high school, to get a year of separation from Braxton. And then he redshirted in 2012. And then 2013 he didn't play at all, or he was a redshirt freshman in 13. So then in 2014 he's a redshirt sophomore. So he really was he was a fourth year guy out of high school by the time he started his first game, that Wisconsin game. So that is way different than Lincoln Kinos. He'd been in the offense for 3 years, been in the program, way more comfortable in the offense, and he had Urban Meyer, who frankly was a lot more thorough with teaching everything. So, Cardell couldn't just skate around and not know what he was talking about, because Urban would crucify him if he didn't know what he was doing. So I think it's much different than Cardell. And Cardell did have a cannon of an arm. I love Dale. Ty Jones, 6 for the 5. Love the show. Who would you fire from the offensive staff? Nevada, I'll let you take that because I've been talking for a minute.
Who would I fire?
Yeah.
I'd fire Justin Fry tomorrow. I'd fire Corey Dennis tomorrow. I'd fire Parker Fleming tomorrow, just on the principle. But then if I'm Ryan Day raised Parker Fleming to $500,000 a year, along with a bonus. Parker Fleming picked up a cool $80,000 for them making the Cotton Bowl. So he made $580,000 this year for that. So yeah, those would be the 3 guys I would fire. I'd fire them tomorrow. I'd really fire them tomorrow, and I'd send that message to that offensive line room that I'm not playing around, that this is not acceptable, and again, no matter what, if you doesn't matter. You can have the same. You can go out and change all 5 guys on the offensive line and go get 5 new portal guys, whatever. But if you have the same coach, you're going to get the same results. And I'm just telling you, that is an issue, and that's got to be addressed.
Yeah, I think there has to be a culture change in that room, and I've seen it change before, and it happens, and it's never pretty when it happens, but I think it's necessary. Jobu, thanks for the deuce. We simply ran into bad luck with quarterback recruiting. I mean, yeah, in the portal. I mean, if Kyle McCord starts this game and gets hurt, and then we have Devin Brown, then we're probably in good shape. We probably win the game. But it's just part of the modern times where guys can become free agents at a whim. Benjamin Anderson, thanks for the 5. Nevada Buck says we'll be loaded next year. How can we realistically think we have a chance at a natty with this coaching staff? I think we're just going to have the most talent in the country, personally. Nevada, I think you're probably in agreement or close to agreement. Especially if we get Will Howard at quarterback and we get a lot of this defense back, I don't know who's going to have a better defense than this next year if all these guys come back, because I think there's a chance it's going to happen. And then you throw Will Howard with the receivers and Trey Henderson, and I imagine we're going to be pretty good. But your thoughts, Nevada?
Yeah, I mean, look, the first step's got to be get Will Howard. The second step's got to be have these guys return. I mean, if those 2 things happen, and again, this won't just be Nevada Buck saying this. This will be every prognosticator in college football next year will be saying the same thing. So this isn't just a Nevada Buck thing. This isn't, Nevada's, I'm predicting them to be the national champion and everybody else predicting to finish 5-8 or something like that. I mean, Ohio State, you looked at that defense balled out tonight. I mean, they
Yeah,
played
they did.
so well. I
Really
mean,
good.
six sacks, 7 sacks, whatever it was, and just controlled the game. I mean, if we're returning the majority of those guys, just think about how nasty that defense is going to be.
Yeah.
And I hate to say this, on a night because I hate bagging on kids, but man, Sonny Styles and CJ Hicks aren't ready, man. I know people love to. I know we love us some Sonny, and CJ's got all that athleticism, but man, you could just when guys are just running around out there and there's, I mean, Sonny, I just I've got to see. You're talking about a guy who's got so many abundant athletic gifts, and it just seems like he does less with more than he can. And I know we've hyped that. People love the hype on that kid, but the product at some point, production's got to catch up with that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, last 2 games were good for Sonny. Got a lot of room to grow, and again, he's the age of a true freshman. So he reclassified, graduated early, so he's a sophomore. But next year's gonna be a true junior, and it's gonna be time to roll. I mean, he's not a high school reclassification kid anymore. D Sunny, thank you for the 5. Can you tell us what a special teams coach does? Yes, I can. What makes their job easier or hard? What separates a great special teams coach from a bad one? They coach the core four, which is punt, return, kickoff, and kickoff return. They're kind of the experts at that. They have a lot of assistance from all the other coaches outside of the offensive and defensive line coach. Like when I was, like with Coach Truss, he used to divide each branch of the special teams up between a coach. So he would have Daryl Hazel would have kickoff return. Luke Fickle would have, the punt team. It was like each coach got assigned one. Like Tabor Johnson would have punt return. It was like they all kind of had like one branch of it, but then all the other guys would help out. So it's like if Nevada Buck is the head coach of the kickoff return team and I'm the linebackers coach, I'm helping him coach the wedge. I'm helping him coach the back wall, and the receivers coach is helping coach the return. So it's kind of like a big deal, but now that they have 10 accountable coaches, back then they used to only have 9 accountable coaches. Accountable coaches are the number of coaches that are allowed to be on the field at a given time, and those are the guys that are allowed to go on the road and recruit. But now, like, you really don't need a special teams coach anymore. And a lot of times, teams that have a dedicated special teams coach, they generally are like the lowest guy on the totem pole, like Luke Fickle. Like Luke Fickle in 2002 was the special teams coach. It was kind of an entry level spot, young energy guy, great recruiter. You got to give him a position. So like for me, like if you put a gun to my head and say, Kirk, well, who would you move around? I said, well, make James Laurinaitis special teams coach. Like James Laurinaitis was a great special teams guy as a linebacker. He covered kickoffs. He did punt return, punt. He was on all those. So he's really good at that. And again, it's kind of like an entry level spot. It's kind of where you put your lowest level guy on the staff, and then you kind of
So where did Parker Fleming go to learn to take delay games penalties on punts and stuff like that? Was it someplace special? Did they send him someplace to learn how to do that?
Well, I mean, like Parker's background is he played at a small school and he didn't really play. He was a backup that never really played, and he was a quarterback. So I have no idea what his background is in special teams, other than I'm sure he kind of learned it along the way from coaches and whatever. And he was at Texas State, and he left. The thing that's peculiar to me is he left Texas State, where he was a full-time coach, to come to Ohio State and be a QC. So it's kind of like leaving a full-time job to be like an intern or a janitor or something. So that was kind of weird to me. And then Ryan took him when he was a QC and turned him into a full-time coach and gave him a huge raise. And I was just like, well, who is he negotiating against? Like, why do you have to pay him? And again, I don't care. I'm not pocket watching. I don't care what guys make, but he's not $500,000 talent. And he was at Texas State, which is one of the worst programs in the country, when he left it. And that whole staff, led by Everett Withers, got fired that next year. So I think Parker left because they knew that they were 0-12 the year before, and they were about to get whacked the next year. So he's like, well, I'll come to Ohio State. And, he was Urban's stooge for a year in 2018. And then, he was a stooge for another year. And then he got promoted to full-time staff by Ryan. And I was just like, I mean, Parker used to be my intern. So it's like, I know the kid pretty well. And, it kind of is what it is. And I don't know how much longer he'll be on the staff, but a good guy, a good special teams guy is a great recruiter. Because again, that's your entry level guy. So you better be the best recruiter if you're a special teams coordinator, you better be the energy guy and you better be the best recruiter on the staff. And I don't think Parker's either of those, frankly. I mean, I'd have a young minority guy do it with ties to Atlanta or Texas or some hotbed recruiting territory. Because, the places where you hide your energy guys are like tight ends coach, special teams coach, guys that are, they'd be dynamic recruiters, but they might not be the greatest coaches in the world, but they could go get you some really good players. So I hope that answered that. That was kind of long-winded. Oh God, Perry at Muriel, thank you for the 2. What head coach can we steal to replace Day? I don't think anyone can replace Day. And again, I'm not a big Ryan Day guy. I think he does a good job. He's young. He's learning on the fly, but I don't know who'd be better than him. Nevada, we've addressed this already, but your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, look, can you find some? Of course, we could find somebody to replace Ryan Day, but at that point, it's a complete crapshoot. And the only way you move on Ryan Day is with somebody in your hip pocket, kind of like when they moved on Trussell. When they moved on Trussell,
Yeah,
they knew they had
exactly.
Urban Meyer
Yeah.
waiting in the wings, and they could live through the Luke Fickell transition, and then they were going to deliver the Prince of Darkness. But the only way you move on Ryan Day, frankly, is if Mike Vrabel has said, "Okay, I'll do it. I'll deal with all that stuff." And I mean, and again, I don't know how good he would be, but yeah, he'd be the only name that I would do it. That I'd move, short of Urban Meyer agreeing once again to pick up the whistle and come back in, which we all know is not going to happen. So I think we're on Ryan Day or bust.
Yeah, I totally agree. Benjamin Anderson, thank you for the 10. Kirk, can you talk about Will Howard? I would love to. This is a nice pivot. Watched his film, looked at his stats. I love his ability. Cannon for an arm. Big guy, tough guy, durable guy. Kid run. He's like a baby Josh Allen. I mean, here's the thing. Ryan Day could have had any of the transfer portal quarterbacks. This is the one he wanted. So you can say what you want. You can say Kirk wants him, whatever. This is a guy Ryan Day wants. And Ryan Day has forgotten more about quarterback play than I'll ever know. So, again, if you put a gun to my head, I think Ryan Day is the guy who's in that room every day. I think Ryan Day knows what greatness looks like in that quarterback room. Again, he's been around Stroud. He's been around Fields. He's been around Haskins. Like, he's seen what first rounders look like. And again, the thing that struck me last season, and I'll say this till the day I die, and people are going to say there's no smoke. Because again, the problem with a lot of you people is when you listen to people that aren't us and they say something, it's usually a lie. But when we tell you something, it's probably true. So when Ryan Day went after Drake May last year, and that caused Dylan Raiola to flip to Georgia, that raised my eyebrows. Because I'm like, well, I don't think Ryan's really excited about what he has with Kyle McCord if he's going after Drake May. Now, Drake May is going to be a top 3 pick in the draft this year, but Ryan went after him, and Mac Brown told him to back off. So, and again, like the regular media won't report that because that's not what really happened, but it is what happened. We have way better sources than they do. So, when he's going after Will Howard, which again, we had that 3 weeks ago. Look at our YouTube. We did a podcast on it, and Ryan met with him a few weeks ago in Dallas and kind of got it locked in. And then, that weekend, it was funny. He went to SC and all the crystal balls came in for SC. And I was like, I asked my source, I was like, what's going on? You just told me he was going to Ohio State, and things got sideways with Lincoln. And then he came flying back to Ohio State. And again, it wasn't because the guy from SC had 6 touchdown passes. It was because he'd been committed to Ohio State for 5-6 days, is what I was told today. So we'll see. Again, it could all go sideways tomorrow, and he could go get the bag from SMU or some craziness, but I think he's coming to Ohio State. Nevada, Will Howard, upgrade. Excited about him?
Very excited. Definitely an upgrade. And I expect that news to break very, very shortly. So we're all on kind of like Panda Watch and Anchorman. We're all on Will Howard Watch right now.
I mean, I got a text that he was at the team hotel yesterday, like in Dallas. So, and again, I'm not there. I'm in Columbus, but I got that text and So I think that it's heating up. I mean, you see how this portal stuff works. Like Alabama they were hosting Damani Jackson, the cornerback from SC, at practice, at the Rose Bowl. So it wasn't like it was some big hidden secret. Like he was at practice, dapping up Nick Saban. Then he commits, and he was a top 5 recruit last year or 2 years for 2022. Joe Hahn, thanks for the 5. Seems like Ryan does not trust his coaching staff. Also, offensive line coach needs to go. I think we've exhausted the Justin Fry stuff. I think Justin's got to get better. Nevada thinks he should go, but hey, I mean it's Ryan's best friend, so we see how the stuff works sometimes. Jamie Lewis, thanks for the deuce. Should they have played Jibia instead of Lincoln Keenos? I don't think so. I mean, I think that kid's a 7th-year guy. He's terrible. But I don't know. Again, I hadn't seen the kid all year, but I would doubt that kid took a single rep all of bowl practice with the offense. So I think he'd be even further behind than Lincoln would have been. Nevada, do you think we should have played Jibia?
No. I mean, again, no. He hasn't taken any step. I mean, you think about how lost Lincoln is back there.
Yeah.
I mean, Jibia has gotten less burned than Lincoln by far, and so I can't imagine what that. I mean,
Well,
I almost threw up today watching that game. I can't imagine if Jibby was there, I would have driven like hot needles into my eyes or something like that. So
I mean, Enoch looked lost out there. I mean, Enoch was blowing stuff left and right, and I was like, "Holy cow, man! You're a 5th-year guy!" Like, and they started you over Carson, and Carson had his faults, but he didn't look lost like Enoch did today. But again, it's what it is. Those coaches make a lot of money to make those decisions and stand by it. D Sunny, again, thank you for the 5. Now that the season's over, what did you see Ryan improve on from last year? Was there growth? Well, the defense was way better. I think that, on the offensive side of the ball, I think that I don't know if there was growth. I mean, it's kind of hard to judge because we were so much better on offense last year when we had CJ Stroud versus Kyle McCord, obviously with Paris and Dewan, and we had like a supernova offense, and our defense was average the year before, and this year our defense I thought was really, really good, and our offense was kind of average to slightly above average. I don't know. I mean, I think Ryan's got to get better, and he's got to cut off some of his buddies from his coaching staff. But Nevada, was there things that you saw Ryan Day improve on this year?
Wow, that's a tough one. I mean. I think the way that he's handling the transfer portal stuff is the right way. I think the way that they're handling NIL, why it's somewhat inelegant, is the right way. I think they're recruiting this year. That recruiting class that they brought in this year was a great recruiting class in my opinion. Terrific recruiting class. 5 stars, guys up and down the line that are going to be able to help. So I think he did well there. It's just. He's got some deficiencies on the staff that he needs to, and he's got some personal deficiencies. I think it's a mistake that he continues to call the plays. I think it's a mistake that he doesn't have an adult up in the box, being able to talk him off the ledge and some of the stuff that he does. I said that from day one of this season. I think we can be better. So I think that there's areas that we can improve, and I think those are stuff that Ryan's got to focus on, because as much as he wants to keep firing coaches, at some point, he's running out of coaches to fire, and he's going to have to look at himself. And seriously, I mean, like, he's turned over the entire staff.
He's firing the wrong coaches. Honestly,
I agree with you.
I mean, at some point, man, it's like, I mean, we everyone wanted the boogeyman gone, and our line isn't as good as the year that everyone said our line sucks. We started 4 tackles when we started. Oh, I don't know, Nick Petit Frere, Thayer Munford, Luke Whippler, Paris Johnson, DeJuan Jones. AKA NFL, 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 NFL. Like, we're not that anymore. That's what we were when we fired Stud. And then, coming off the bench, we had guys that were, Donnie Jackson, 5-star guard, ready to rock. Like, Harry Miller was ready to rock. He obviously had his issues with the mental stuff. So we were loaded. And I don't know. E-Buckeye 91. It feels like OSU elite status died tonight. No, not even close. I don't agree with that at all. I think we're going to be a top 3 team next year, especially if we get Will Howard. Nevada, your thoughts?
Yeah, no. I mean, again, every team in the country, if you lost your starting quarterback to the portal, and you lose your second string quarterback to injury. Well, look at Florida State. Florida State is a 20-point underdog
exactly.
to Georgia because
Yeah.
they're having to play what's the kid from
Brock
Ohio,
Glenn.
Brock
Yeah.
Glenn. They're playing
Yeah.
him in the thing. So do I think Florida State's done? No, quarterback play. Like you use the Christian McCaffrey example, and Christian McCaffrey's a terrific player, but he's not the quarterback. I mean,
Yeah.
the quarterback touches the ball on every single play.
Oh,
And if your quarterback goes down and you have to bring in a guy who hasn't played before, as in one time out of 100, he'll come out and ball out and do something amazing, and we'll all talk about it. The other 99 times he's just going to stink. And so what we saw tonight was just stinkage. And we didn't score a touchdown tonight. How long has it been since Ohio State didn't score a touchdown?
God bless. I mean, I maybe that Clemson game in 16.
Clemson, yeah,
Probably. I mean,
that's
I
all.
mean,
That
the way
that's
it's got
how
a
long it's been.
touchdown. I mean, yeah. I mean, as good as our offense has been since Urban got here, like, I mean, that's a rare bird, very rare bird. But I don't think our elite status did not die tonight. I still think we're a top 5 program easily. Again, like us losing that game when our quarterback gets knocked out versus like Clemson beating Kentucky in the Tax Slayer Bowl or whatever other dumb game you want to look at. Like I feel good about where the program is. Big Red Buck, thank you for the 5. In all facets of life, when bad things happen and we look in to what made that happen and fix it, RD will do that as he did with the D, and he will fix it. I agree. I think he's going to look at some of this stuff and he's going to get it fixed. And it's going to be a long, cold winter at the Woody Hayes, but these guys got to get it right. But that's a great post, and I appreciate that. Coach Do Sep, thank you for the 10. Trash, trash, trash! Exclamation point. I like that. I still think a day has a natty in him. I agree. Urban lost 31-0 to Clemson. That was way worse than tonight. We are a QB away. That is all. I don't know. Again, I think we're a QB away, and I think that we can win a natty. That Clemson team won the national championship. I mean, they had Deshaun Watson, and that Clemson team had legitimate superstars ever. Mike Williams. So I don't know. Like I know we got waxed that night, but they had 3 first-rounders on the D line. They had Isaiah Simmons. Like that was a really, really good Clemson team versus the this team that waxed us. But again, that's just my opinion. Again, like not all losses are created equal. I just don't think this Missouri team is very good. I just think that they ran into us on our worst night with a freshman quarterback. JC Flanagan, thank you for the 10. Great show, guys. Appreciate you, my man. Need to upgrade our staff. Can Day get that done? Is OSU job opportunity enough? Seems like older veteran HCs build out staff the best. I mean, Ohio State's a top 5 college gig. We pay, I mean, like we're just running, like it's like the money's infinite. I mean, we pay guys that aren't even worth anything a ton of money. So I think that the way that our pay structure is with the staff, money's no real object. I mean, Jim Knowles is a $2 million DC, Heartline, Fry, they're all making $1 million now, and we're one of the highest paid staffs in the entire country. So I don't think money's an object. I don't think that anything other than Ryan just deciding to figure out who he wants and figuring out if there's chemistry and figuring out if there's a guy that actually call the plays. Because at the end of the day, Ryan has to find somebody that he actually trusts to call the plays, which is easier said than done because the whole reason he's making $11 million a year is because he's a good play caller. That's it. That's why he got the job at Ohio State. That's why he still has the job at Ohio State. But for someone to rip that play sheet out of his hand, he's got to find somebody that he absolutely loves and he won't question every series. Do you think that's possible, Nevada?
Well, look, I think one of the things that we're suffering from just on the coaching issue in general is back to the issue of that Ryan Day has never been a head coach before. And so Ryan Day doesn't have a coaching tree. Ryan Day doesn't have guys that he worked with that coached underneath him at XYZ school or at this place or that. And so, I mean, you think about that, and that's really an issue. And I think that's why he hires friends and family or kids or interns or quality control guys. I don't think he's got a deep bench of guys, and I think that's something that's got to be addressed. I think we're one quarterback away, and we're one new offensive line coach away from being really good. And if those were those, I would get Will Howard, and I'd fire Justin Fry, I'd fire Corey Dennis, and I'd fire Parker Fleming tomorrow. I'd replace him with James Laurinaitis as a accountable coach. I'd go out and find a stud offensive coordinator that I would hand over the reins to, and And again, then you still got one coaching position to play. Ryan can hire another friend or somebody like some guy's kid or somebody else that he want to do. Just make those other two changes, and I'll be happy, man. You won't hear any complaints out of Nevada.
Totally agree. Ty Jones, thanks to the 5. Love the show. Fire Fry. Fry's getting whipped tonight, man. Also, we need the O coordinator in the box. We really need the O coordinator in the box, man. I'm telling you, it's crazy that he's not up there, but that's how we're doing it. I know you agree with that, Nevada. Jared Jones, thanks for the 5. Not sure if this has been discussed already, but where was Dallin Hayden tonight? I don't have any words, Nevada. I mean, the running back rotation is always hilarious to me, but Dallin didn't play tonight. He didn't touch the ball, wasn't on the field. And again, I get you're trying to get Trey Henderson. He had 19 carries tonight, but like we gave X 5 carries, which is fine, but Dallin didn't play tonight. Your thoughts on the running back rotation? Again, the thing is, we only had 33 carries tonight, so we didn't have as many offensive snaps as normal. But go ahead.
Well, Trey was our only chance to score. Trey almost broke that one, and if he breaks that one and it's 10-0, and we might win. You know what I'm saying? Well, I mean, as crazy as that sounds. So I think they were just praying that Trey was going to break one and do something magical in terms of doing it. And Xavier was kind of running some of that orbit motion. Some of that they even ran Wildcat with him, which was really weird. And I mean, so I just don't think there were enough snaps for Dallin, and frankly, given what was going on with the defense, where they knew we weren't going to throw, they were just keying on the running backs, and they would just sell out those run blitzes. They would just run right to the running back, wherever the running back went to, and they were just beating us to the spot. And I think Dallin would have had a tough night tonight.
I agree. I don't think he would have made a difference. I think Trey's much better than he is anyways, so hopefully he stays. Pedro's Lucario, thank you for the deuce. Reasonable to say that not having McCord screwed us? Yes. Not having McCord tonight screwed us. I don't know if he's there and healthy, or if he gets knocked out of the game and then we have Devin as the backup, we win the game. But when you go down to your third string guy and he's an 18-year-old, really hard. Matthew with them, thank you for the 5. Can you remember our worst offensive performance? I can remember a lot. Clemson in 16. I mean, I don't know I know we sucked against Florida, but we scored 14 points against Florida. LSU, when we lost that next year, we actually outgained LSU. So I don't think that's worse than dropping, 3 points and 200 yards versus average Missouri team. But yeah, I mean, there's always worse performances where you could have done better. But I don't know. I think it's just raw right now. And again, when you've got a freshman quarterback, it's kind of is what it is, man. Like if you go run a marathon tomorrow and you blow your Achilles tendon in the first mile, and then you don't finish, or it takes you 9 hours to run it in a wheelchair, then I don't know. Like I can't really be like, oh, you sucked at the marathon today, but that's kind of what happened tonight. Jeff Rittenhouse, thank you for the 10. The O-line issue is not physical talent, it is mental. Simmons had his once a game false start. Yes, he did. Line slides were a joke, and the backside cutoffs was not existent. Jeff, you know your stuff. Yeah, our backside cutoffs were terrible tonight. And Simmons got beat for a sack. He didn't get beat for one, I don't think, all year. But he got beat clean tonight, man. And the guy went right around him and crushed our quarterback, and it was ugly. But yeah, our line's got to look in the mirror and get a lot better. That whole room needs to have a little bit of a makeover and a little wake-up call. Todd, thanks for the deuce. Kirk, you should be the O-line coach. There was a point in my life where that was my dream. I wanted to be the line coach at Ohio State. And the biggest reason I want to do it is because I knew I could recruit. I was a werewolf monster. I mean, I'd make Brian Hartline look like a little kitten as a recruiter. And I really got good at recruiting when I was working there. I loved it. But I just don't like the hours. I can't do it. I like having my own life, and those guys are slaves, and I'm not into being a slave. That's why I do my own thing. Wade Harper, thank you for the 5. The Ryan Day experiment is over. We have our answers. OSU's in decline. I don't. Man, tonight was more than Brown getting hurt. O-line issues, scheme issues, etc. I see. Again, we lost, and it sucks. But it happens. I mean, there's going to be a bunch of teams on Monday in the playoffs. You're going to see Washington, Texas. You're going to see Bama versus Michigan. 2 of those teams are going to lose, and I don't think that they need to cancel the trajectory, or are they elite or whatever if they lose, because this is going to happen. But again, our quarterback got knocked out. So again, you got to kind of grade it on a little bit of a curve. I'm not an apologist. I'm just a realist. Super Nerd, thank you for the 5. Appreciate that, Wade. A row of turnstiles would have been more effective for the O-line. I love these analogies. I'm curious about your thoughts this year at X-O-line. How do we fix it? Well, I mean, again, 18-year-old quarterback, not great in blitz pickup. That killed us a little bit. The guys need to be more physical. They need to be better at combination blocks. I've been seeing that all year. They got to be better on backside cutoffs in the running game, which is like the backside tackle away from it. I think our guys don't play very hard, honestly. I don't think our guys finish guys. Our guys don't put guys on the ground. And that's a culture thing in that line. I don't know if there's a lot of, I mean, these guys are tough kids, they're proud kids, but I think they could be a lot better. And I think there's a lot of stuff they could fix. I mean, I watched the Michigan All-22 film, and there's glaring things that would be very easy to fix that they haven't fixed, that are easy fixes. And I think that's something they got to dig into if they actually want to get back to being like a good unit like we used to be. And we were good 2 years ago. We were pretty good last year with Paris and Dewan, but even Paris and Dewan left a lot of meat on the bone. With all the things they could have been a lot better with. Riley McGee.
Hold on, before you get to that next question, just think about what you're saying, Kirk. Like, you're looking at it and kind of going, you're a guy that played the position, you coached, and you're like, I see stuff that I could clearly fix, that I could clearly do better, and you would be better at it. You'd be better. Yeah. You'd be better at recruiting. You would demand toughness from these guys. You would fix up some things about hand position and all the other little things. How can we not say this isn't a coaching issue? How can we? I mean, look at this. I mean, it's so obvious. It's so freaking obvious to me that, like, we have a coaching issue on the offensive line. And Fry wasn't great at UCLA. I mean, they were okay, but he wasn't great at UCLA. And now he's coming to Ohio State, and we've given him the benefit of the doubt. We've given him, multiple years. Dude, this isn't like some one game, reaction or something like that. But it's like, geez, we have to do better than this. I mean, anyway, so frustrated. Get onto this. I know we got a ton of super chats, and I know we're about to.
But that's a good point, though, because again, like, a lot of people are like, well, people that are stupid and don't understand modern culture are like, oh, well, he has to have his own guys, and he has to go recruit his own guys. He has to have 4 recruiting classes before we can judge him. I'm like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life, because in modern college football, when you walk into that room, those are all your guys. Period, end of story. Period, point blank. Like Urban Meyer used to say, you walk in that room, those are your guys. It's not the old staff's guys. It's not the old regime's guys. Those are your guys. And now, and that was in 12 when there was no portal. Now with the portal, dude, I mean, you can go get whoever you want. You can go recruit. You can go tamper.
But he's been here 2 years. Like, how long do we give this guy? He's been here 2 full years.
Yeah, like, again, I'm not some Coach Prime apologist, but he brought like 60 transfers in 1 year. He flipped the whole roster in like 1 year. So when you've only got 18 scholarships as an offensive line coach, like, you could flip 9 guys or 5 guys or 4 guys in like a year. So it's just not that hard. Again, people want to make excuses, is what it is. Riley McGee, thank you for the 10. I feel the bigger problem is the blocking. How many times can a guy blitz outside and hit home before you make an adjustment? I kept saying it. No deep blitz. Lincoln looked like he'd never seen it before. It's really simple. I mean, they weren't running stuff that was super exotic, but it just was stuff that our guys looked like they'd never seen before. And I'm sitting there and I'm just like, it was like day one stuff. So, it's like, if you don't understand like 2 + 2 = 4, then it's tough, I guess. But it's not like they weren't running ultra sophisticated, like, oh my God, that's really difficult. That's really good scheme. That's really disguised. Like, the stuff, the guys are standing right on the edge, they let him go. And Lincoln's got to beat that guy with the throw. Like, if we got 5 guys and they bring 6, then the last guy has to get beat with the throw. If we've got 6 guys blocking and they bring 7, the last guy has to get beat with the throw. Like, it is what it is. We don't have a guy for that extra guy, and it's man coverage. And again, Missouri figured out that, oh my God, they're so stupid they can't figure out how to stop cover 0 blitzes. So we're just going to keep doing it. And we kept screwing it up, and it was painful to watch. Any thoughts on Day giving up play calling and a possible new OC? We pray for it every day. I mean, obviously, church is on Sunday. I'm sure we'll go and light a saint card on fire and rub it between our hands like this and pray that he gives up the play calling so that we can actually have a head coach that acts like a head coach. but I don't know who our new OC would be because I don't know who you trust. We've got Justin Fry as a co-OC and Brian Hartline's kind of a phantom OC, but we don't have like a real OC that actually calls the plays and runs the offense like the head coach of the offense. So I don't know. Nevada, I don't think that's ever going to happen.
Yeah, but on the OC, we've talked about this before. Gonna say it again. When freaking Tom Herman came to Ohio State, nobody had ever heard of Tom Herman. And
No,
Urban
God,
Meyer
no.
turned over the play calling to Tom Herman, and that worked out okay. And then Ryan, he leaves, and then Urban Meyer plucks Ryan Day, who nobody had really ever freaking heard of before he
Who was on the breadline? He was on unemployment.
was on
He
unemployed.
he did not have a job. Breadline.
Pulls him out, gives him a thing, and now turning the head coach. So you're telling me Ryan Day can't go out and find an offensive coordinator? Like, do your job, dude. Go find a young, innovative guy. Go find the next Tom Herman. Go find the next Ryan Day. And let's make him the offensive coordinator. And do the thing like this idea that you've got to be this, what you're doing isn't working. Okay? What you're doing isn't working and it's affecting other aspects of your job. That's why your special teams, the reason your special teams suck is because you allow it to suck, Ryan. You allow the guy to take delay of game penalties. You allow this stuff to happen. And it's because you're so focused on one aspect of the job, and that's being this play caller. I think it's an impossible task. I think he's got to turn it over to a real OC, have that OC up in the box calling the plays, and Ryan can still make suggestions for the sideline. He can still overrule them. He can still have they can have debates on the headset. What I don't care, but get a real offensive coordinator. Do it right away.
Totally agree. Ty Jones, thanks for the 5. Can we get rid of Fry, Corey Dennis, and Tim Holton? Tim Holton's in the mix now. They'll get rid of everybody. The players under them seem to have no fight or fire. I think Tim Holton's guys play hard. I mean, Davison, he showed up tonight, and I thought the corners were good this year. I could be dead wrong, but I could be wrong. Quinn Tucky, thank you for the deuce. K-State's backup beat NC State. Yeah, I mean, there's instances of like USC's backup, won the other day and had 6 touchdowns, but he was like the starter like the whole time. And I know guys get knocked out, but Lincoln just wasn't ready to go. I mean, he's an 18-year-old kid, he's a freshman, like that's impossibly hard for him. So, again, we'll see. There's a lot of Lincoln's story is not
because we're not talking about the backup. We're talking about the backup. Remember, we had Kyle McCord played 12 games this year, so the backup is Devin Brown. Well, the backup got hurt, so now we're to the backup. So there's not many of these teams that are playing with the backup that aren't just getting violated by teams. Look, Florida State's going to do that against Georgia. Let's see how that works out for them.
Oh, it'll be terrible. I mean, Louisville got ran the other day, and they gave Florida State a really good game because Brock Clem was so bad. Readings by Dom, and thank you for the 5. I have not seen this. Ohio State's alleged unauthorized access to rival practice films via Catapult sparks NCAA investigation. That will be very interesting. I have not read that, but I'm sure I will at some point. But I have not seen that, so I appreciate you showing me that. Chief Rocca, thanks for the 5. Do you think Sonny Styles could get to 250 and become an elite edge rusher? I think that might be his best option at this point because I don't think that he's got the fluidity to play safety. I think that he's a will linebacker. I think he's a will linebacker or he's an edge guy. He's a big guy. He's strong. He's athletic, but does he have the burst and the change of direction to really be an effective open field tackler in the back end? I don't know. I mean, there's not many guys that are 6'5" and that big and can do that. And I think he might be too big to do it. So when you're that big and you can grow into being a superstar Micah Parsons type dude, maybe you consider that. I think that'd be actually a great spot for him. And I think it's a lot easier for him, less space for him to play in. Parker Mayo, thanks for the deuce. Upsetting to see this is how X's last game went. That's how it is, man. At Ohio State, man, there's a lot of seniors that end up sad at the end of it. Unless you win the national championship, pretty much everyone's sad. So I felt bad for Tommy Eichenberg. He's a defensive captain, didn't play. Cade Stover barely played. Cade didn't have a catch. And X, it was kind of effective. So out of our 3 captains, we had one that didn't play. Cade barely played, and then we had X kind of do his thing. Todd, thanks for the 5. I'm having a hard time getting past the O-line play. It seems Ryan can't get out of his own way. Jack Daniels threw an IV seems to help. That sounds like a great idea, especially as it is 2 a.m. and we are cranking through this thing. Wade Harper, thank you for the 5. Money paid does mean elite, Kirk. I agree. Days like 2 and 8 in top 10 games. I agree as well. Our brand may be top 5, but our program is in top 5 right now. IU and Northwestern inflate us. I don't know, Nevada. Like, are we a top 5 brand right now? I feel like you go Georgia, Bama, then who? Us, Michigan,
Well,
maybe
look,
Texas.
I always love the comments about, and I understand it's coming from a good place, but people are talking about, well, you only beat up on these bad teams, or you do the IU and Northwestern. Well, I'm going to give you a little hint, okay? Everybody plays their IUs. Everybody plays their Northwesterns. Not every other team's game every week is USC, UCLA, Oregon, Washington, Michigan,
Bama.
Alabama,
Yeah.
Georgia, Texas. I mean, like they all. Did you see Georgia's schedule this year? Georgia's
Oh
schedule this year might have
God.
been
Yeah.
one of the worst schedules I've ever seen. So it's
Yeah.
like, yes, when you play better teams, you're going to lose some. Yes, you do beat up other teams. That's just college football. That's everybody does that. And do I think we're a top 5 brand? I most assuredly we're a top 5 brand. Was this a bad night for a top 5 brand? Most assuredly it was. If any other team in college football was put in the same situation, would they have probably had a similar result?
Yes.
Almost definitely. If you
Yes.
could tell me any team in the country was going to have their backup quarterback go down, and we have to go to their backup who'd only attempted 4 passes or 8 passes or whatever it was, Lincoln Keno's going to play this game, I would have bet everything I own against the team. I would have.
Yeah. I
Just
mean, dude,
it was just
if if you had the hot tip, if you had the Gray Sports Almanac, and they said, "Hey, Nevada, guess what? You're
Devin
this
Brown's
Devin
going.
Brown."
Devin Brown's going
Yeah.
down. I'm
Yeah.
like, dude,
Yeah.
I'm unloading the clip on Missouri.
Devin Brown's ankle is like a quarter inch away from tweaking and being out for the game. So just that's your little hot tip. And then when that happens, it's going to be Lincoln keynotes and Lincoln. I got word in bull practice he didn't look sharp, and then we get to the game, and again, like, he's an 18-year-old. He's been running scout team all year. He hasn't been running with the offense, so he doesn't even know the offense. So, and again, he didn't look like he knew the offense tonight. So, I don't know if that's all on Corey Dennis, but it's just part of just being a young guy and maturing because most 18-year-olds aren't ready to go. Todd Fish, thank you for the 20. Attended the game. I hope you enjoyed Dallas. Also, a great city. Knowles is the man. I totally agree. I thought our defense played really well. Not running the clock out at the end of the half was madness. Agree. Stupid. Our clock management is as bad as there is in college football. What are some names that interest you as an adult OC? Mizzou is so average. Ooh. That's tough because I don't know if you want realistic names or do you want names that are guys that, potentially are on the map or guys that Ryan might know or, I that's really hard for me. It's really hard for me. I don't know, Nevada. You probably don't have any names for an OC. It's 2 a.m. But
No, yeah, I'd have to look, but so much truth in that post right there. I mean, Knowles was
yeah.
the man. The clock management at the end of the first half was abysmal.
Oh, so
It,
bad.
but I mean, go find your Joe Brady. Remember when Joe Brady came to LSU and everybody's just like,
Oh God.
"What that?"
Exactly.
And that that turned into like the juggernaut of all juggernaut. Well, go find your Joe Brady. Go make it happen.
You could probably go find Joe Brady right now because I think Joe Brady might be out of a job right now. Is he with
Go get
Carolina
him.
still? I mean, Joe
I think
Brady is he's the interim offensive coordinator for the Bills. So
yeah.
he went slightly crestfallen after being a GA, and he was God in 2019. He became the pass game coordinator and wide receivers coach when they had, I don't know, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. So basically, any in the universe could say, "Hey, throw it to those guys," and they're going to get open. Then he became the OC for Carolina for 2 years, got whacked, goes to Buffalo. Now he's their OC, interim OC. So that'd be the best hire of all time, probably. But I don't know. Like a lot of the guys that are the best coordinators are guys you never hear of, and they're doing something at a lower level, and you're like Ryan Day. Again, when Ryan Day, I'll never forget when we had the nugget on Ryan Day about him coming to the Woody. We thought Urban was going to hire Chip Kelly because Chip Kelly got fired by the 49ers. I remember this like yesterday. Chip Kelly's in the Woody Hayes. Got the text. Oh God, are we going to hire Chip Kelly to be our offensive coordinator to work with Greg Schiano It's DC. That was like, that'd be the greatest tandem of all time. And then like we're like, oh my god, we're gonna get Chip Kelly. He's in the building, and then he's there at the behest of Urban, so Urban could interview Ryan Day, who was also in the building, who none of us knew. And they hired Ryan Day, and I was like, what's a Ryan Day? I've never heard of a Ryan Day before. And so, it's just one of those funny things where, I mean, nobody knew who Ryan Day was when they hired him. And, he's done a good job. But, it's not like we can't go find someone that's like that's out there that's, kind of a savant that he could take the play calling from. I feel like a comparison for Day is Mark Richt. Eesh. I don't know. I mean, Mark Richt was the guy that Urban used to dog out a little bit because Urban, he said, man, if Georgia ever gets a monster in there, they're going to be the best program in the country. And they got Kirby Smart, and sure as could be, they won 2 straight national championships. But, I mean, I don't want to say he's trending that way, but he's going to go beat Michigan one of these days. Rick Smith, thank you for the 5. Nevada said it best. I was going to say it. Get out of the frying pan and into the fire. He's got to go. I like that, Nevada. I'm going to have to put that on a t-shirt. Do you agree with that? Out of the frying pan?
I just don't know. I don't know how you can ignore it any longer. I mean, it's one of those things that the slide on that particular group has been so precipitous. I just don't know how you can draw any other conclusion.
Yeah, we got to get better, man. Todd Fish, thank you for the 5. Fry, Eliano, Walton, and Knowles came in together. Fry's unit is the only that regressed. Very astute of you. I agree. I think our back end's gotten much better. I think our corners and safeties were good this year. I think our defense was excellent this year. Our line was just average, and when we needed them the most, they didn't play great against Michigan and Missouri. So I agree with that. And we're down to our final super chat. Parker Mayo, thank you for the 5. Is Steel Chambers coming back? There is a little bit of smoke that he might be coming back. Thought we'd see more CJ Hicks. Also, I don't know, as a man, you can't get a Firelander to your behind after Sober rips into you like he did. And, and again, I know Cade, again, he's a captain. He's trying to get gassed up, get rolling. But, and again, I love Cade. I think Cade's one of the great guys, real tough guy, good dude. But, like, he's out there blocking it, but he was limited tonight. Didn't play a lot. Didn't have any catches. So, it's easy to go crazy and scream at guys. But, like, dude, go out there and do something. Go catch a ball. Go score a touchdown. Go pancake somebody. It's like, again, like, it's easy to go scream at a bunch of guys that are out there playing. But he wasn't really playing too much. I think that, again, it doesn't matter because, again, we had an 18-year-old playing quarterback. But, we were missing our captain on defense. We were largely missing our captain on offense. And then we had X, who's like our third captain, our special teams captain. And he was in on offense a little bit. But, our 2 captains were largely gone tonight because they're hurt. So, but I love Cade Stover and Tommy, and those are 2 great Buckeyes. So, we'll leave it at that. Well, Nevada, it is officially 2 a.m. This has been a long night. This has been an awful game to watch. This is the biggest chat we've ever done by far. Over 2,000 comments, 74 super chats. Your thoughts, Nevada, as we end this gauntlet of a night?
Will Howard, if you're listening to my voice anywhere, if you're within the sound of my voice, please call Ryan Day immediately.
Get on the plane. Get on the plane back from Dallas. Just go get on the plane.
The thing. And we will send you Henry To'oTo'o's moving van information that we've been saving for this occasion, and we will go pick you up, and we will deliver you to the Woody Hayes Athletic Center. And we've got some work to do for 2024, but please help. If you can just blink twice if you hear this message, and let me know that you're coming.
Nevada will send the extraction team to the hotel to get you on. We got a passport made where your name is actually Hal. Was it instead of Will Howard? What do you call it? Hal Willard or whatever? Hal Hillard or whatever?
Not his real name.
Oh, not his real name. They'd never know. Well, yeah. A lot of you guys are kicking it, man. We still got 1,200 on. It's 2 a.m. I mean, you guys need to go make an omelet or go get some cold water or something. Go sit in an ice bath. I apologize for the loss tonight. It sucked. I hate doing shows like this, but we appreciate you guys kicking it with us tonight. This has been a monster show. So I'm going to wrap this thing up again. Thank you guys so much for kicking us. We're going to be awesome in 2024. Will Howard's going to be our next quarterback, and we're going to be cooking. So I appreciate you guys as always. If you guys enjoyed this content, please leave us a like, click subscribe. Also, click that little alert bell. We appreciate everything you guys do for us. So we're going to jump onto BuckeyeScoop.com right now, finish out the night. So we appreciate you guys so much. Thank you, Buckeye Nation, and thank you, Scoop family. Keep your heads up. We're going to be good. It's a bad night. 18-year-old quarterback. A lot of things went wrong. We get Will Howard and we get J.J. Smith. Life is going to be really, really good. Edric Houston. A lot of these guys are going to be coming back, and they're going to whoop it. So, again, we appreciate you guys so much. I hope you guys have a nice night. Thank you so much. Go Bucks.